Excuse me, guys. Welcome back for those tuning in. We don't have anybody on just yet, but we are live, waiting on Jimmy. Um, I got the burps right now, man. I just ate a bunch of sushi, which I didn't even eat all of it. I actually still have like a whole box left because I checked the fat content on one of the sushis and it was just like 35 grams. I'm like, do I really want to have 35 grams of fat when it's a high carb day from the sushi? And it's like avocado in there, which I didn't see that there was avocado. So I'm going to skip out on that, which is actually a good sign. That means like I can have some control over food now, which is good. So here's Jimmy right here. I'm going to add him in. Yo, what's up, dog?
What's up, brother?
Yo, yeah, I already clicked live. But yeah, everybody, welcome back to the No Bad Days podcast. This is episode 3. Thank you for tuning in. None of this is medical advice, strictly entertainment. Hey, how does my mic sound, bro?
Sounds good. It sounds good every week.
Okay. Does it sound louder if I turn this dial?
Try
Check
it.
1 2 1
Yeah,
2.
that's louder. Yeah, for sure.
Does it sound better that way?
The quality's the same. It's just louder, I would say.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll leave it right there. But yeah, man. Thank you guys for tuning in. We got some topics to cover today for episode 3. Friday night. Saturday night. How was the workout, bro? You did legs today?
Yeah, really good. I've been doing like belt squats as my main movement.
Yeah, I saw you
It's
doing
like
those.
they feel amazing, dude. Like my legs are always smoked. I've got like no low back pain from it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the perfect movement right now for me.
How are you hitting them? Are you hitting them like with your knees behind your toes or your knees over your toes?
So I kind of have my knees over my toes slightly.
Yeah, to
So,
get some
but
quad.
the movement, it's not bothering my knee though. Even though my knees are drifting over my toes.
Hey, Charlie
Something
said
about
great shirt.
yeah.
That's dope.
Something about the mechanics of it, it just doesn't bother my knees. Now I do
Yeah,
take kind
dude.
of like a slightly wider stance and like point my toes out a little bit. So that's obviously taking some stress off my knee. But like the hack squat's been kind of beating up my knees. And then I can't really barbell squat because of my back right now. But
I
I've just
saw
been
you
loving the
doing
belt
the
squat.
reverse hyper though with the I don't see anybody get on that too often. I see like I've seen maybe 2 or 3 people use that machine before, and you're one of the 2 or 3.
Yeah, I was looking up some like old Louis Simmons articles. Are you familiar with him?
No, I don't
From
know.
West Side Barbell. He's like
That's like a machine you see at like a powerlifting gym. I feel like
yeah,
they have
he's
like that
actually the
rogue
guy that
machine.
created it. And he
Mm-hmm.
created it because he broke his back, like I think squatting. Like he was doing like really heavy good mornings and like broke his back. And he couldn't like train at all. And he tried to do
Holy
like regular
shit!
hyper extensions and they were like killing his back. So he created this machine where it kind of like decompresses and like kind of pumps your disc, like pumps some bloods into the disc. And it's actually been
Yeah.
helping my back. It's the only thing like in the past 3 months it's been helping. So I've
So
been
do you
doing
do
it
that
like
as a warm
before and
up or is
after.
that like a working set?
I'll do three sets before I work out. Whatever the
Uh-huh.
workout is, I'll do 3 sets, and then I'll do 3 sets afterwards too.
Okay. Yeah. There's a stretch I like to do for my lower back, but did you ever slip a disc in it or just tweaked it and it's
Yeah, I've
never
got
really
L4, L5, L5, S1 are herniated, and
uh-huh.
then L1, L2, L2, L3, L3, L4 are bulging.
Mm. Was that from like the hamstring? I know you said the lying hamstring curl was one of those.
Yeah, but it initially happened when I was like 17 and was deadlifting and didn't know what I was doing and
Yeah.
tried to pull like 405 like without much of a warm
Yeah.
up, and it was all
It's
downhill from there.
I think like so my arm it will make this little like I don't know if you can see it, but there is this like
Oh,
if
okay.
you look
Yeah,
right
yeah,
here, if
yeah.
you look right here, it has like a little to where like my like I don't know. I mean, I can't tell you what it is, but like I guess like my bicep rolls over the shoulder tendon, and then this delt will like twitch sometimes. It'll just twitch. I'm just standing there, and it'll just start twitching. Um, but like in high school, yeah, like like 17, 16 years old, like in the strength and conditioning classes, like they teach you how to like they say go deadlift and hang clean and
Yeah. The worst exercise to start with high school kids.
I mean, yeah, because they're just like they're heavy exercises. Like, and you have like 30 kids in a class or 20 kids in a class. It's like you're not going to be able to look at everyone's form and
No.
be sure they're good. You just grab a partner and put some weight on a bar and try to max out every day you're in there. And
It's
like,
brutal.
yeah, I mean, I think I like tweaked my shoulder then when I was young, but I think it's like shoulders are something that can kind of like heal on their own over time if it's not like too damaged. It's either like completely screwed or it's going to re-heal. And I mean, I was like 16, 17. So
What was it from, a power clean?
I think it was probably from like overhead shoulder press or yeah, like a power clean.
Did you feel it at the time? Like, did you feel something pop?
No, I think I don't know. I think I might have had some shoulder pain like for like some time after, but it's been fine. I mean, other than that, the next like actual injury, like what I wouldn't even really consider an injury. I was doing arms one day when I had an arm day. Did you ever have an exclusive arm day?
Yeah. Up
All right.
until
Well,
as of 2021, I used to just have an arm day.
And guys, I know we're kind of like bullshitting right now, going back and forth. We just want to welcome some people in, but this will go into some of the topics that we're talking about. So, like having an arm day, there's going to be a topic that we'll touch back on about the arm day. But, anyways, I used to have an arm day, and I did biceps, triceps. I see like two of my buddies over on the flat, bench press. I'm like, you know what? Let me see what I can throw up right now. And I put like,
No warm up.
well, I did like 145. Like they already had. I didn't want to pull a plate off, so they had like 145, 155 on the bar. I'm like, all right, let me see what I got. Got like 5 or 6 reps. As a warm up, I'm like, all right, let's go 225. And I was feeling pretty good. I got 11, which was like at the time for me pretty good. But then I got up off the bench and I was like, okay, hang on a second. That's not how I got on the bench, So that lasted about a month, and then during like this was the first day back in the gym when the gyms reopened after COVID.
Oh
I
my
think it
god,
was
dude, I can't even
literally the
imagine.
first day back in the gym. I used to live with my buddy Rob, who's deaf, and we're like, yeah, let's incline barbell press because we had done that like during COVID because someone had like a bench set up. They had like a cable set up in their backyard and some dumbbells, and then they made like a deadlift platform. So we were kind of getting used to like hitting incline barbell. And then, I go for my set and I'm like, all right, I'm failing. But the thing is, man, he's deaf. So he can't, he's like, and he's talking to everybody. It's the first day
Yeah,
back in the gym. He doesn't know that I'm like failing and struggling here. So I think I got it. So like, I had to like fucking get it to that like first rack.
yeah,
And
the
I was
lower
like,
pin.
I'm like, I'm never lifting with this guy again
Oh
because then
my
my like
god.
back felt tweaked. But that was another thing that like worked itself out. Like all my like tweaks or injuries, knock on wood, have worked themselves out, and I haven't like put myself in a position like to where I've been permanently injured or torn something.
That's
I get a
awesome.
little bit of knee pain here and there. Right now my Achilles will sometimes click a little bit. I don't know if you ever had that happen. Like I think it might be like some tendonitis.
Do you wear like sleeves or do wraps or anything?
No, I don't even wear sleeves or wraps or nothing like that. So it's just like, um, I think it's from all the cardio I was doing. Like,
Okay.
I mean the
Just at the end of prep it
Stairmaster.
started?
Yeah, I mean honestly, I think it was probably when we added the Winstrol in that probably just dried out that tendon a little bit
Okay.
because I don't think I noticed it before the Winstrol. And then like what I will notice on prep is like my right knee will. I think it's like when we add Winstrol in, that knee like gets some kind of fluid in it, or like I don't know what it is, but yeah, I get a little bit of pain in my right knee sometimes. But I mean, I got on the hack squat the other day. I squatted 4 plates with a reverse band on it, and like I took a few warm ups before, and it was like one of those things to where like okay, like 2 plates, I could kind of feel it. 3 plates, I can kind of feel it, and I got to 4 plates. I'm like, I'm not feeling it as much anymore. So like I think I'm good to go. And I wound up hitting 9. I could have gone and hit 10, but I could feel that like tension and tightness in it. So I'm like, let me just save that for next week, like
Yeah.
live to see another day. And then I did a back off set. The back off set felt perfect. So I didn't have a single, issue with that one. And I got all the reps there. So,
That's been like, other than when
mhm,
I first got hurt, like deadlifting when I was a kid, all
mhm.
my injuries have been from like not doing that, like not saving it for another day. Like if the logbook says 10 and I'm like, I don't feel so great at 9, I continued to go to try and get 11. And that's when I got hurt, like knowing that I didn't feel good, but still trying to beat the logbook. And just such a
Yeah.
stupid way to get hurt, you know?
Yeah. So I mean that will kind of segue us right into the first topic. So like DC training. So like, what is DC training? Um DC training is its kind of own brand. And it's sort of derived from Dorian Yates style training or DY training, or also known as high intensity training.
Yeah.
And
Dante Trudell was the creator of it.
yeah, Dante Trudell on the forums back in the day, before my day, really. I mean, I was probably just getting in the gym at this point. This might have been even earlier. Um, but on the forums, his username was Dogcrap, DOGGCRAPP,
I was on
and
those
that's
forums at the time.
were you? What
Yeah.
was the boards that it was?
It was Intense Muscle was the main one he was
Yeah.
on.
Uh huh.
And then there was Anabolics was another
Hmm.
one. And then the Animal Pack forum was actually really big back in the day too.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
Was this like 2010? Or
A
was this
little bit
earlier?
earlier, Professional Muscle was another one too.
Uh huh.
It was like yeah, you know what, probably like 2008, 9 ish into
Yeah,
2010.
that era. There was just like that's a different era. Like this is before social media, so like the way people learned back then, we didn't have as much information now as we do. I mean, we didn't have as much information then as we do now. Now you have, everybody on Instagram teaching you how to work out, and Charlie will like this, like this single arm cable
Oh
exercises,
God.
and like while that stuff has like its place, like
You know another
like
one I love, and this could be like a completely different topic for another show, but
uh-huh.
like the hammer strength side press.
Oh, dude, I just did those the other day
Oh no,
because
are you
I've been.
serious?
I swear to God, I was thinking like, all right, so I was thinking like, okay, unilateral work, like everybody does some single arm back training. Everybody will do a
Yeah.
single arm cable side raise. Everybody will do a single arm dumbbell preacher curl. Everybody will do a single arm tricep push down. Everybody will do a single leg press. Everybody will do a what else? Single leg extension, single leg hamstring
Yeah.
curl. But no, like I just asked Dusty
Glute
Hanchuk
kickbacks
because
are one leg.
yeah, glute kickback. Like I just asked Dusty. He put up a Q&A on his Instagram. I just sent him I said, "Do you ever do unilateral work for chest?"
Oh, that'll be cool. I sent him a message too.
I,
I
I,
usually
I,
send him
want,
a
I
message
want.
with every Q&A.
Yeah, he just put it up on his story. So I used to do that one. I would see people doing it in the gym, but like, does it have any value? Like, and I don't think like there's much value in like doing a single arm dumbbell press. I feel like you're just not as stable. Like if you're trying to train
Yeah.
your core, maybe, but like what else is the point of? I mean, I could also see a fly because if you're getting maybe across your pec more, like it felt pretty good. I did a decline hammer press at crunch, like
Mhm.
a stack loaded one, and it felt pretty good. It like in my training program right now, it's like there's additional work at the end that you can do. So it's like just to get more volume. So I did like, like 12 to 15 with a lightweight and just kind of pumped it out. But yeah, I was wondering that like people don't, and you don't really see too much like single arm chest work.
Yeah. I guess I consider like if I'm doing like a cable crossover or dumbbell fly or dumbbell press, you kind of have to stabilize each arm. So each arm
Hmm.
is kind of getting worked independent to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, even so, you see guys do like they'll lay on an incline bench with dumbbells and they'll do the rows, like the incline dumbbell rows, and they'll still do
Yeah.
one arm dumbbell rows. So there
Uh-huh.
definitely has to be some value to doing just single arm, like focusing on one side at a time.
Yeah. I feel like there's like one or two exercises that maybe like it makes sense for, but you know, because it's like most of your stuff is going to be that. But back to the DC training, so it's a higher intensity type of training to where, I mean, really you I'll let you explain it, Jimmy, since you were on the forums and stuff like that,
Mhm.
and you've actually implemented it before. So yeah, let you go ahead and explain what DC training is.
So like original DC was actually 2 days a week. The whole
Hmm.
body was broken up. I think it was like a Monday, Thursday was like original DC. And day one would be like chest, shoulders, tricep, quad, back width, calves. And then the next day would be like hamstrings, back thickness, biceps, rear delt. It was broken up kind of weird.
So that was
And
Monday, Thursday you trained.
yeah, so the whole body was trained once a week in 2 different days. And the
And
main
then
movement for each one, so like let's say chest, would be like a rest pause set. So you would be like incline Smith. It would be one set rest pause, and it would be kind of heavy. Like your total reps would be maybe like 10 to 15. So the first rest pause set you might get 7. The second one you might get 4. The last one you might get 2, and then you would move on like to the next exercise, which would be another rest pause set.
mhm.
Now like smaller body parts like bicep, tricep would be like 1 or 2 sets of like 15 to 20.
Yeah.
And the whole workout was finished with what's called like a Widowmaker, which would be
Mhm.
like an all-out set of 20. And it would be like a compound exercise. So like on the day you're training quads, you would finish with like barbell squats for one set of 20. So
Right.
it'd be like really taxing.
And you'd
And
go
then
pretty heavy, almost to failure. Like how
yeah,
close are you training to
it
failure at that?
should be like, I think he remembered explaining that like you should almost be a failure at like 15 and then
And
have
try
to
to keep
stop, catch
squeezing
your
them out.
breath, and then try to get the
Like
additional
hold
5.
the bar and then try to get the
Yeah,
additional
as
5.
long as you
Okay.
don't rack it, you can
Hmm.
rest as long as you want. The set's
Yeah.
still going on.
Uh-huh.
But then it kind of adapted over time to like a 3-day split, which I think is what Dusty preaches for the most part.
Uh-huh.
And then it kind of got bastardized over the years where there was like a 4-day, 5-day. But
Yeah.
Dante's original one was 2-day split. That's like original
Hmm.
DC.
So would you
And
just train twice a week, or do you go,
yeah,
that's it?
he has you doing cardio like every day,
Uh-huh.
um, but only like weight training was the 2 days a week.
Yeah. So I mean, and that, like I said, it's derived from like a Dorian Yates style training, to where Dorian Yates would train, 4 days a week or so. And that's inspired by like Mike Menser and um his theories with training and stuff like that, with high intensity, um and not it's because you're not growing in the gym, you're growing outside of the gym when you're recovering. So um what with the DC training, is it is the 3-day split kind of more of like a push pull legs? Is that kind of what that became?
It kind of developed into that. So it was like
Uh-huh.
it was that, but then the original 3-day was still the 2-day base. So like you have day A and day B, let's say for your two
Mhm.
days. It was like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, A, B, A. The next week was
Uh-huh.
B and B. So it was still the 2 days, but it was just over 3 days instead of 2. And then it kind of
Okay.
developed into other people had into like a push pull leg where they were doing
Yeah.
rest pause and Widowmaker type stuff.
Mhm. Yeah, so the DC is like its own brand and own specific style of training, which last week we talked about high volume training a bit more and what that is kind of all about. And like Jay was someone who kind of did a bit more high volume. I mean, there were a lot of guys that did a lot of high volume, and I saw it actually an interesting question on the HD Muscle podcast where Antoine Vaillant, I don't know how to really pronounce his last name, asked if Jay and Dorian's training, if those two styles were swapped, if Dorian
Oh, that's
did
interesting.
Jay's type of training and Jay did Dorian's type of training, like what would be the difference? And would you have two Mr. Olympias, or just like do certain people respond better to high intensity? Do certain people respond better to a higher volume approach? Um, I don't know. I think that's pretty interesting. I think the pros of a high intensity approach is that you're taking probably more rest days than you would. You're spending a little bit more time outside of the gym, and your workouts are shorter in duration, but they're high intense. So you're taking those sets. Not every set to failure, I wouldn't say, but um, you're doing one or two sets per exercise versus say three, four, five, sets per exercise. Um, and I think I think it's somewhere in the middle for what it really comes down to. Like you said, like the issue with your the way you've caught injuries, that the con of high intensity training is that you might be possibly more prone to injuries that way because you are trying to chase this logbook and beat the logbook. But there's many ways of beating a logbook, and the way I prioritize it is first, did your technique improve? If you got 8 reps on something last week, or if I got 8 reps on something last week and I got 8 reps this week, did my technique get better? Like, if it did, then yes, I consider that beating the logbook. The
I agree.
next, the next thing I would say is, did I get more reps? Okay, yeah, I beat the logbook, but did I get more reps because I did it sloppier?
Yeah.
Then I wouldn't really consider that beating the logbook. While the number of reps might be higher, and on paper, yeah, you did more reps, but you didn't do it with the same form, the same execution. So that kind of, I think there's a hierarchy to that. Next, I would say, did you add load? Did you add weight? And if you added weight and you got, within that rep range, say it's an 8 to 10 rep range, um, and you hit 8, yeah, then I would say that's valid. If you only got 6 or 7, I'd say probably back off and continue to work at the lighter weights for a bit before you're ready to maybe push that 6 or 7. Or if you did get 6 this week, then you got to try to get 7 or get into that 8 to 10 rep range by next week, with good form. And then the last one, the last way of progressing the intensity would be um taking less rest time between sets, but I think that you need all your focus. I don't think you want to make a high intensity type of training a cardiovascular, aerobic endurance type
Yeah.
of training. I think you want to be 100% focused when you're going into, especially a heavy set like that. So I would standardize your rest times. Um, Man, just kind of lost my train of thought. Oh, here, the other one would be like, if you didn't beat the logbook, say you matched it. Okay, good. You increased weight. Maybe you increased weight. Another way you can beat the logbook, what I would say would be like possibly adding an intensifier. So you can add an intensity technique to that. Say like your best is 6, you have to get 8. So
Hmm.
you get 6, you rack it, you take 30 seconds, 15 deep breaths, then you get your 2 more. I would consider that still valid for beating the logbook. What do you think? Or like something like that like that Mike Gilliot video I sent you, to where he holds for 10, holds the contraction, does 10
Yeah.
reps, holds the contraction. I think if you throw in some kind of intensity technique like that, not a drop set.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't know about a drop set. I mean, maybe if you lighten it up 10, 20%, 15%, but I feel like you're kind of going backwards at that point, if you're doing a drop set.
Yeah. I would say it is progression. Like even a drop set. Like let's say you did 100 pounds for 10 reps last week, and
Mhm.
this week you do 100 pounds for 10 reps, and then you drop it to 70 and do 8. It's still more than you did last week. What
Yeah.
becomes difficult is the third week. What are you going to do? Are you going to try and do 100 for 11? And if you get 100 again, are you going to then try to do like 70 for 8? It's going to become kind of difficult at that point to continue to progress. But as like a
Yeah,
1 week
and
thing, I
then
think
that's
that's
more
good.
volume though. Like
Yeah.
the other thing with it is like it's more volume if you're kind of doing drop sets. And like the other thing about high intensity training, the other con is that it's highly taxing on the central nervous system. Is it more taxing to do one hard set of 8 to 10 versus 3 sets of 15.
I
I
would
don't
say
know.
so. I would say so.
I would say
For
it
me,
takes
it
more
would be.
out of you. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say that takes more out of you, man. I mean, I don't know. I don't have a study or know how to like quantify that, or if there is a study out there. And you know, as far as I know, like my extent of knowledge is I'm learning along in this journey with the viewers of this podcast. So I'm not an expert when it comes to this, guys, but I'm always someone who is hungry to learn. So we're going to continue to learn together and grow together. And the day you know everything is the day you're
You
the day
don't.
you stop learning is the day you don't progress. So
Yeah.
that's the name of the game with this. So um, yeah, I don't know exactly, and I think you got to figure that out for yourself. I think the best method and approach for training is what can you recover from.
Yeah.
So let's get into how frequent are you training right now? How many days a week are you training?
I'm doing 5 days a week, a
Hmm.
push pull leg kind of base. Everything is
Hmm.
hit twice a week, except legs. Well, quad specifically is hit once a week. I'm just not able to recover from twice a week quad training. Even if I lower the volume, I
So you're
just,
hitting hamstrings so twice a week, or like ham
yeah,
and glute?
yeah.
Okay.
So I'll hit ham and glute with back and then with quads.
Okay. Hmm.
I could even probably train hamstrings 3 times a week and recover, to be honestly, but quads, for whatever
Yeah.
reason, when I try a second day, it just doesn't go well.
Yeah. Are you going Monday through Friday? Or are you going like 2 on, 1 off, 3 on, 1 off?
So
Like,
I'll go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off, Thursday, Friday,
mhm.
Saturday, Sunday off. So Wednesday and Sunday off.
Wednesday, Sunday off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like I like responded good doing something like that because just trying to bang out 5 days in a row with the same level of intensity, like you you wouldn't know you wouldn't notice it until you take that rest day, and then until you switch to like a 3 on, 1 off, or a 2 on, 1 off, 2 on, 1 off. You wouldn't notice it until you switch to it. Um, you know, Up until COVID, I trained, 5, 6 days a week,
Did you?
guaranteed. Yeah, like every week, and it's like I didn't make all my progress doing that though. So
Mhm.
that's a lot of that's a lot high frequency, like, um, and it's hard to push like in intensity. I think when you have another 5 workouts to do this week, because you're like, well, I got
Yeah.
to train legs tomorrow. Like, why am I gonna kill myself on back today? Like, you
Yeah.
know, but if I have a
That's a real
rest day,
thing,
and
even
yeah,
subconsciously.
yeah, and I think I'm kind of like sort of hitting that point right now because I am following this Justin's program. However, the way he actually lays it out is a 2 on, 1 off, 2 on, 1 off. I believe that's the approach for that.
It's either a
But
6 day split or an 8 day split, right? Initially, the way he writes it.
yeah, let me pull it up and just double check.
'Cause I'm pretty sure it's not, and that's not a traditional 7 day split.
I think it might be an either or like that. Let's see.
While you're pulling it up, how many days right now are you training?
I'm training 6 in a row.
Okay. Oh,
So,
wow, that's tough.
yeah, I'm doing well. I actually just switched this week because Wednesday is somewhat of a rest day. So it's an ab day, abs and forearms and cardio.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not like a very intense day. So I get to ease off the gas on terms of the intensity and like with the central nervous system, like taxation. So I do get that little break. But no, the way he set this up is a 2 on, 1 off, 2 on, 1 off, 2 on, 1 off repeat.
Okay. So 9 day.
So yeah, 10 like with the
Oh,
10,
gotcha. Okay.
rest day, or repeat. Yeah, so 9 day split. So uh what I'm the reason why I did that is because like to be able to plug in my high carb days, in my medium days, and the low day being Sunday. So like, Monday chest, Tuesday back, high carbs on Tuesday for back. And then back is pretty taxing. I'm pushing very hard on the day. Wednesday is a medium day with just the cardio and the abs and forearms. Um, Thursday I come back in the gym and hit legs. And this week I did quads in the morning, or no, quads and hamstrings in the morning, and then quads in the evening. I did about 11 to 13 sets each.
Yeah,
So
I've
about
always
like,
been fascinated with twice a day training. I've never been able to
yeah,
try it though.
I did it. I did it, bro, and it was pretty good. Like, I mean, there was there was like a few sets of by the time I get to the barbell squats in the
Oh,
quad day, and they're at the end of the workout, like I was coming down on the barbell squat being like, "Oh shit, I feel like my head's about to fucking explode."
yeah,
Like,
I bet.
I mean,
Yeah,
because I'm going from a leg extension to a barbell squat. It's just like, what the
that
fuck?
superset's brutal, dude.
Yeah, and it's 3 of them. And like I know like the volume has its purpose. Um but would I get more bang for my buck out of just doing like one hard set of squats, you
Yeah.
know, or like 2 hard sets of squats or one heavy set, one back off set, you know?
Or even like 3 sets of squats and then 3 sets of leg extensions versus the supersets. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, so I could really put more focus in it, you know?
Yeah.
Because I'm only squatting like 185 and leg extensioning like 100 pounds, like maybe 120.
Yeah.
So it's like
You're
20
pretty
rep leg.
fatigued though. So I mean, they say your muscle doesn't know how much weight's on the bar, but
Sure.
in your mind, like I know for me anyway, if I'm doing a superset and I know there's like a significantly less amount of weight on the bar, it just I don't
Yeah,
know.
you're kind of just like you could take not that you're taking it easy, but you're like you just I'm gonna just make this my bitch pretty much. Like, you know, it's like when you have heavy fucking weight on you, it does something to you, like to where like you have to pull from something deep within. And I think that heavy stuff, like when they talk about like the density of the muscle,
Hmm.
you know, I feel like dude, there were some like quad days in my off season last year. Well, this year leading into my prep to where, you know, I would hack squat 5 plates. Um and I would listen to like a Tom Platz like
Speech.
yeah, I
Yeah.
would listen to like a Tom Platz speech like to be able to pull something out of me that I just didn't think I fucking had in me. And those leg days were brutal. And I would like I remember like it was hard to fall asleep because my legs felt they felt fucked up. I remember getting up in the middle of the night to like foam roll and like stretch and like you know that was like the way I was able to relieve some of the because it was deep, like it was deep inside the muscle to where like I needed to like dig deep in that muscle with the foam roller, and the foam roller I have is like super hard. It's made out of plastic and it has little spikes on it and stuff like that. So I was
Yeah.
like grinding out my legs in order to, and then I was like, all right, I feel better. I got some blood flow in them. You know, if you're ever having trouble sleeping, and actually we're going to talk about sleep in this episode anyway, so I'm just going to throw this tip out there right now. If you're having trouble sleeping, stretch before bed, get a foam roller, stretch out. It's going to help relax the body. Another thing to help you sleep, and this can help you sleep on prep. This can help you sleep on, you know, a night you have insomnia. Get magnesium. Make sure you have magnesium, especially if you're someone who trains at night in the evening. You're sweating out this mineral as you train. So when you come home from the gym and you're depleted of magnesium, now the body can't relax. Magnesium is known as a calming mineral in the body. Um, and you know, when you're sweating, you're going to start depleting this mineral. So definitely supplement magnesium anywhere from 200 to 400 milligrams daily. You could probably even go a little higher. And then you want to look for a good form of magnesium too. I take Mag GP. It's available at southernmuscle.shop. You can use my code Matt SM to check out and save money on that, but it's not very expensive. It's like 20 bucks anyways. It's magnesium glycerol phosphate.
Hmm.
Magnesium glycinate's another good one.
I think that's what I have
Glycinate's
right
good.
now.
Some will just mess with your stomach. Citrate will like make you have to go take a shit, as far as I know. So if you're having like, you know, it's gonna give you some GI distress. But yeah, get a good form of magnesium, definitely. Um, so yeah, I mean, I'm not a scientist by any means, but you know, I do know some things. And it's part of just learning. But what I was saying was like, yeah, man. I mean, my legs really did come up a lot though, training like heavy like that. And I wasn't doing a logbook, but I knew what I did last week because I had 3 or 4 sets of squats, or I had 5 sets of hack squats.
Yeah.
And, I knew what I had to do. Okay, on my sets of 12, I get this much weight. On my sets of 10, I get this much. And then I've got 2 sets of 8. I've got to hit this. I did this last week. Can I do it again this week? Okay, I did it. And that was like my check mark that, okay, I'm making progress. And my legs grew. From my last show to now, I put on 10 pounds. And I think part of that is between, the leg development. And another thing I would do is I would foam roll a lot and just really dig deep in there, because the pain of, high intensity training was, it was high intensity, but there was still volume involved. But, yeah, they grew a shit ton. So where I'm at with my training is I feel like training, 5-6 days in a week in a row is something that doesn't work for me. I mean, I think you can, I don't know if you could just take more gear, because there are guys that do that.
Yeah.
You just take more gear and you're able to recover from it maybe, but I still think you need that time outside of the gym. You need the sleep, you need the rest, you need the food to be able to really recover. And um I never knew how to take a step back until COVID hit. So when
Mhm.
COVID hit, dude, I didn't miss a day in the gym, forever. I pretty much never missed a workout. Um but it's kind of what I needed to do, because during COVID, I had a set of dumbbells, and I had push-ups, and can go and walk and do cardio and stuff like that. Um, but and I had access to a friend's house, a few miles away, and he had a barbell and a cable machine and
That's nice.
set or whatever. Yeah, so we were working. We weren't really hitting it by any means super hard, because we didn't have access to a gym at that time. But then I remember coming back to the gym and moving weights again, and damn, dude, I'm fucking blowing up. And it's I've had all this time off, but my
Yeah.
body's responding really quickly to growing. And I think it's because I had the time off of the gym, because I was like, oh, well, the gym's gonna open on Friday, so I don't really need to train Wednesday, Thursday. I'd rather just go wait till the gym gets open.
Yeah.
I don't really need to train Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or however many days it was. And I trained, and I was like, damn, dude, I got a sick ass pump. I feel good. I feel connected to the muscle. I felt like I was intense, in the gym, and that was the thing that kind of let me realize that I don't need to go to the gym 6 days a week or 5 days in a row, or six, days a week or whatever, to grow. I need to take more time outside of the gym to recover, and to focus on the food, and to sleep, and to focus on recovery. And right now, last week I trained 6 days in a row. This week I switched the training plan, because I started to kind of realize that you know um training 6 days in a row, I might not be able to be as intense. So I switched this week to, more of 5 workouts, one leg day with the hamstrings and quads, one ab and arm day to where it's less intense, and then 2 chest days and 2 back days with, arms at the end and some shoulders on chest. And I felt pretty good about this week. Um, but I've also still been, taking that 2 on 3 or 3 on 1 off idea in mind. So I was up. Well, yesterday it just hit me with the idea of I was listening to a Dusty podcast, a Dusty Hanshaw who's on this podcast, and
Is that the
uh
one with Ron Partlow?
yeah, it was called Just the Tip. It
Oh,
was
okay.
good. Yeah, it was funny. It was supposed to be a little segment, but they just called it that. It's just Dusty, and I think it's just bodybuilding podcast.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good episode, but I was just doing cardio and listening to it, and I was like, to really recover, to really grow, Dusty, he worked with DC, and DC worked with Justin,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, so DC trained Justin Harris, and he schooled him on those philosophies. So I've been listening to um, Justin Harris, and his is a bit of an evolved DC training style approach, not necessarily DC, but in his program, he has his high intensity stuff, and then he has his volume stuff, which is where I think most people need to be in terms of their training. However, the way I'm following his program is 6 days in a row or 5 days with now an added ab day. And, I'm bastardizing it myself and making it my own thing. Um, the program was designed to be trained 2 days on, 1 day off, 2 days on, 1 day off. So there are those rest periods in there. So that way, like the thing is, I'm beating the logbook, but I'm still at the very beginning of the program,
Yeah.
you know? And like, where does that max out? Like, can I train 6 days a week for, 8, 12 weeks?
You could always start adding like rest days in as you stall. So let's say if you
Hmm.
progress for 5 weeks going 5 days straight, once you start to stall, maybe throw in one rest day and then progress that as long as you can. And then once you
Yeah.
stall there, throw in another rest day. You could
Uh-huh.
try to progress it that way too.
That's not a bad idea. Because the other training plan I wrote out yesterday, it like kind of hit me. I went and had like a coffee, and I just wrote this thing up on my phone to where what I would follow would be Monday chest, shoulder, tricep. Tuesday, which would still be my high carb day, would be back and bicep. Wednesday would still be that ab and forearm day. Um, Thursday would be off. So I'm having like now like sort of like 1.5 rest days. So Thursday would be off. Friday would be quads and hamstrings and quads and hamstrings. I usually like to do hamstrings before quads because if my quads are locked up, you can't really deadlift
I'm the same
RDL,
way.
right? But like I would have done deadlifts on Tuesday because I'm doing deadlifts on my back day, and I'm gonna do RDLs on on my hamstrings. So what's that? Friday? That puts me up Tuesday to Friday. Um,
That's a decent
enough
amount of time off.
enough time to recover.
Yeah.
Because you're loading your spine. Like that's the thing. Like you're loading your spine, your erectors. Like that's directly attached to your central nervous system,
Yeah.
right? So I'm like, how long can I do this without fucking slipping a disc? And then I'm doing
Yeah.
rack pulls on my other back day. So Friday would be that. And then Saturday, I don't know if I put deadlifts in on that Saturday or if I have them in on Tuesday, but there I know there's rack pulls and deadlifts on the back on one of the back days in the program. And then there's like bent over rows, there's T-bar rows, there's a heavy barbell work too, or chest supported or Smith. But what the program has is like there's also a lot of people, I know like John Jewett, and I've been listening to like some of like HD Muscle. I don't know if you like Dorian Hamilton is, and like
Yeah.
those guys, up in Canada. They'll do stuff, or like Mike Van Wyck. They'll do
I'm a
stuff to
huge Mike
where,
Van Wyck fan.
yeah, they'll like what I've kind of been hearing around, just listening. Because guys, I'm a sponge. I just try to soak this stuff up and learn, as you should, if you want to progress in anything. Like just soak up as much and listen to people who know more than you. I might know more than you. I might be a total idiot, you know, to other people. But anyways, I'm trying to find the best information myself, and then I'll filter it out to you guys. And I appreciate anybody tuning in. But yeah, I'm just trying to soak up this information. And what I've kind of been hearing, like a common trend, is people doing a heavy set, their top set and a back off set as being
Hmm.
um the method, and you're warming up to that heavy set. You're not
Yeah.
just going in like cold, like, all right, I'm gonna throw 5 plates in the hack squat and go for it. Like, okay, like that's the last hack squat you'll ever do, but
I think that's a big misconception about Dorian's training. They hear he did like one set and they're like, oh, okay, go in and do one set. But they don't realize
yeah,
he did, if he was doing,
he
let's
had
say
like 4
405,
warm-up sets. He did like
yeah,
a
at
put a
least.
plate on, 2 plates.
Yeah.
Okay, 3. He did like I'm not doing 8 to 12 reps on a warm-up set. I'm doing like 4
Same.
reps, 5 reps, I might do 10. I might do 15 with a really light weight just to like wake up the muscle, or I might warm up a different way. Like if I'm doing RDLs, I might do some hamstring curls before going into the RDLs, or I might, if I'm doing hack squat, I might just put some blood in the legs by doing some hamstring curls, um, or I might do some walking lunges or something like that. But still, I'm still not jumping into the hack squat, loading 5 plates on it and expecting to
I
hit it.
think in critical mass, doesn't Justin have you do like body weight lunges like before you get into anything?
Not before like a chest day, but definitely before a leg day. I
Yeah.
think on both leg days, yeah, that's what he has it as. It's like 3 sets of 30.
Yeah.
It doesn't specify whether it's body weight or if it's weighted.
Okay.
So last week when I did it, I did like body weight for the first because I'm like, all right, I can beat this next week. I know I'll beat it next week if I need to. Do I need to? Because he has it labeled to where like what's labeled in red is what you want to PR on. What's in green is not irrelevant, but like it will get better due to the fact that you're getting better at the stuff that's in red. So it's not the priority to focus on trying to hit a personal best or personal record on those lifts. But if you're squatting, if you're squatting three plates that first week, by week 10, you're squatting 5 plates, you can probably do more weight with your warm up of walking lunges. You could probably throw
Yeah.
10s, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s in your hands and do your lunges, and still be fresh to be able to go hit 5 plates, so that's kind of the idea behind that. So yeah, I mean, so what I'm looking at doing, I think now is that's a good approach for like, if I start to hit a wall, then take a rest day.
I think it's a good approach.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, like, and I guess the way to be able to log that would be like, okay, well, I didn't break the logbook this like last workout. Like something must be off, or if I'm like really behind the logbook, like, yeah, something's definitely off, you know. I mean, have you ever hit a point in your training where you're just like, I'm fucking fatigued? Like, when did you kind of turn away from the DC training? Like, was it an injury that
Every time it was an injury. It was just like I get to the point where I'm like, I'm progressing. And then, like I said earlier, it would be a day where, let's say I'm having to do like overhead press. My shoulder's not feeling good, but I'm looking at the logbook, and the whole point of my program is to progress week by week. So if I don't progress this week, in my head, I was like, it's a failed week. So I have to at least try.
What kind of overhead press? Like a dumbbell?
I would do Smith. I would do overhead barbell, which was a stupid idea for like DC training. And then I would just try, and I would
like
have to get
standing or seated overhead barbell.
Seated. I would do seated.
I don't like seated overhead barbell. I will tell you what I do like though.
What's that?
I do like behind the neck Smith machine pressing.
Yeah, with like the short bench.
Yeah, dude, it feels fucking great.
Yeah.
When you did a set of lateral raises or like high volume lateral raises, like 15 to 20 reps on lateral raises. And no, you know what I do first before that? It's dead stop skull crushers on the floor. So like I'm kind of already getting my hands back, right? With doing the dead stop skull. And then I'm going into that. And then this is on my chest day. It feels so fucking good. I'm not even going that heavy. Like I worked up to 40 pounds on each side. And like you could watch videos of Kevin Levrone like doing like 4 plates behind the neck,
Oh God, yeah, that was his movement
on the Smith. Yeah, it just feels good. And then you look in the mirror if you have like a tank top on or something, and you just see like your chest, your shoulders. I mean, it feels good, and I think like there's benefit to like that stretching. And another part of DC training is the stretching. Give me an explanation on kind of what that stretching is and what your theory is, why you do the stretching. What is the stretching? How do you do the stretches in the DC training?
So the theory behind it is that one of the limiting factors of muscle growth is the fascia around the muscle. So the theory is if you can stretch that, it's going to allow for more growth. So let's say we're doing let's say we're doing triceps. after you finish your tricep workout, you would grab like a dumbbell and you would do an overhead stretch for 60
like a
seconds.
French press, 50.
Yeah, and it would be 60, so like a full minute.
Oh,
And it's a weight that's pretty heavy. Like
right.
it should be, not a comfortable stretch.
Or you do like, say you're hitting chest and you go sit on a fly with like
Just holding the dumbbells.
Yeah, just opening the chest up. I think there's value in that, man.
I agree. I still do. I don't do the extreme stretching as much now, but I'll finish every workout with some form of stretching for whatever muscle I worked.
Yeah.
And I feel like it helps recovery, it helps growth, it helps everything.
It helped me, dude. My coach said, look, dude, you're tight in your biceps and your shoulders. Like, I want you to do this stretch after your training, after every upper body day, whether it was shoulders, back, chest, like, do this stretch. And it's a stretch where you place your hand flat on the wall like this with your fingers down, and you turn your hand out, you turn your head out. I forget the name of the stretch, but I started to see in my progress photos that like I could hit my front relax better. My shoulders weren't like, you didn't see this gap or missing space or dead space in that, like I was able to drop the shoulders, like internally rotate better, externally rotate better. Like the stretching helps, man. Like a lot of guys are very fucking stiff, and
yeah,
a lot of that's due to like inflammation and stuff like that, which inflammation can look like muscle, but you get on a contest diet where it's fucking rice, chicken, you're not eating fried foods. You're going to lose so much size because you don't have that water and that inflammation anymore. And then you have this weird, like you see the guys that like diet down and it looks like they fucking died. Like, and then they put on weight and they're off season, like they're full as a fucking house. It looks like they put on like 50 pounds. Like,
well, I mean, if you let's say you're pinning your shoulders. If you get a bad shot in your shoulder and it's inflammation, your shoulder looks like huge. Yeah. You know what I mean? So inflammation can look like muscle.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, I really do think the stretching is important. So like I was saying, like in that behind the neck shoulder press, and I kind of hijacked this conversation because we were talking about your injuries. I just really like that movement. Yeah, but you tweaked your shoulder doing.
It was barbell press, just regular. Yeah, it was.
And while barbell stuff is, while barbell stuff is like, I mean, I think like some barbell work and like some heavy dumbbell work and just heavy shit is a good way to grow. You also have to understand the risk for injury with that. So like, back to the philosophy of DC training, like you can't train 6 or 7 days a week or 10 days in a row with barbells and heavy dumbbells and heavy shit, for these rest pause, high intensity sets and expect to be injury free. So
now, Dante has a version for like older guys, which I would maybe toy around with trying again at some point. It's the same structure. The whole program's the same, but instead of your total reps for a movement being like 10 to 15, it's like 20 to 30. So your first set of a rest pause, instead of 6 reps, it's maybe like 12 reps.
Or 12
yeah, 10 or 12. So it's like a lighter weight, but you're still using the same principles of like rest pause, high intensity, just with a lighter load. So I think that might be like a good middle ground.
Yeah. You know what's cool for me?
What?
Like, what's pretty cool for me is I get to train clients, so I get to like guinea pig like shit.
Oh, that's fun.
Them.
Yeah.
So it's cool. It's like, all right, let's see how this goes. They come back to you. I'm fucked up from that. I'm like, I think I might want to try that too. I've never done it myself.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I'll see videos and stuff. Some shit I do like a lot of the shit I do myself, and it's not that I wouldn't do it. It's just I haven't gotten to yet because I got to train you at 7 a.m. or 6 a.m., and I want to do it later this afternoon, but here, let's run through it, and like it's interesting to see, put people through that. I'm not someone like there's trainers out there that just try to fucking kill people with workouts.
Yeah.
Like I remember, like, have you ever been sold like a personal trainer at a gym? Like
I used to sell. I was a personal training director.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so I was doing that.
Did you ever go and try and fuck people up?
Yeah, that was literally
like,
what we were told to do.
Yeah, that they would show you like that's how out of shape you are. Like I remember, and And I'm glad I got sold this membership, man. I'm glad for you LA Fitness like shark salespeople because
I hated doing it, but
I know it's dirty, bro. It's just but here I'll tell you what, man. I'm a success story of that because um when I had got to college, I had started working out like the summer prior to that. Like I got into that and I was going to the gym like, almost as much as I could pretty much before going to college. Just because that was becoming my hobby and my focus at that time. Before then, dude, I used to just get fucked up with my friends, right? Like I would just get fucked up, like,
yeah,
didn't, like, I mean, my story is kind of interesting. Like, I when I was 17, I had gotten sober, and then like I had moved a town over, from one town, to another town, and like I created this like, you know, arm's reach of distance between me and my friends, and they were getting fucked up, and like I had to figure out something else to do because I just couldn't
yeah,
be around that. It just wasn't good for me. It wasn't productive, and I found the gym, and you know, I worked out that summer, and I just loved it. I remember like working out. I remember being on a T-bar row one day. I'm like, how the fuck am I going to do this for the rest of my life? And then like I had met the guy who kind of put me on a like fitness and like schooled me to the game was my buddy Blaze. And he's like, let's go to GNC. Like, oh dude, this pre-workout's sick. Like, get this pre-workout. I'm like, all right, I don't even know what the fuck pre-workout is. And then I took the pre-workout. I'm like, oh, I get it. This is how I could do this for the rest of my life.
yeah,
I
exactly.
was sold. I was like, I love being at the gym now. And then anyways, that summer, like after that summer, August, I moved down to Florida. Uh Orientation at my school, LA Fitness is there with a table. And I'm like, I just saved up all this money being a golf caddy. And when I had gotten sober, like, I had was working at this golf club, like making like shit money. Like there just wasn't that much play on the golf course. And we
Yeah,
would sit around and basically you get fucked up all day and blow all the money that we made from the golf course. So it was like we were here, we were just at camp fucked up. Like
uh-huh.
it was like basically like just away from home, get fucked up, not make any money, and go home and just blow your summer. Anyways, that next summer, that's where I caddy. That's where I met my friend Blaze, and that's how I got put on the fitness and stuff like that. I go to college, orientation, LA Fitness is at the school. I had saved all this money because I went to this new golf club and I was a caddy and I was making good money, man. Like I had saved like for me it was like 2-3 grand at the time, and I had like 2-3 grand in the bank going to college, like
That's awesome.
18 years old, and I felt pretty good about that. But I was like, man, I don't know if I want to spend this money because like I had a grip on my money at that point, and I just
Yeah,
earned money. I wasn't blowing it on, weed and beer and whatever else. And they said, look, man, we'll sign you up. You get a student discount. It's $24.99 a month. Like, they sold me. All right. I go to the gym later that day, I think that same day. I go on the flat bench. I put 95 pounds in the bar. I go for like 10 or however many reps. I fucking fail on the first set.
oh
Uh,
wow,
Someone comes and pulls it off of me. And I was like, all right, like that was the worst thing that could have happened, but
yeah,
I'm here. And now I'm going to be here like I was there like 6 or 7 days a week then, and you couldn't get me out of the gym.
that's
But
awesome.
back to the personal, I mean, yeah, dude, it was like, I'm glad that I got sold that membership because that shit changed my life. So, but back to the personal trainer, like they give you a free session, or whatever when you sign up.
Yeah,
And yeah, I mean, this guy like pretty much just tried to like kick my ass, like, to show you how out of shape you are. And like, all right, like, after you're fucking huffing and puffing after doing leg extensions with, uh, supersetting them with air squats or whatever, and then a plank, and then
yeah.
holding, and they were going, I don't know what the fuck we did, but it fucked me up. Like, um, after that, I was definitely not trying to buy personal training. I was just trying to figure things out.
Where
Most
was the
people
LA
that,
Fitness? Was it in Florida?
yeah, it was in Castleberry.
Okay. What year was this around?
436. This would have been 2015.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
I'm just trying to. When they were selling you, did they bring out like the Apple metaphor? with like
Say it.
caffeine and stuff. We had like a script of like different things we would go over to sell people, and one of them was like an apple has
Oh
like as
yeah.
much caffeine as a small cup of coffee, and if people were like buying Starbucks, we would tell them that because then we could take that away from them, have they put that money towards training. There was like all these little
That's
things.
pretty good. I mean, I don't know if that's actually true though,
No,
but
but that was just one of the things we were told to
I've
say.
heard of people say that too. Like, I don't want a fucking apple, dude. I want a cup of coffee.
Yeah,
Like, like, but yeah, I've heard of that too. Or like, here's how much that like some people need trainers, man. Some people need to be sold hard on shit. Like, I believe in sales, but I also think that you have to like establish a relationship with. And I've done membership sales for Crunch, but I've never sold personal training. That's a big amount of money you're selling. At Crunch, you're selling $10 or $25 or whatever.
yeah,
It's pocket change pretty much. But like, yeah, when you're selling training, man, like, that's a big. It's a commitment, and two, like it's a decent chunk of change.
we had to hit 40 grand a month was our
Uh-huh.
bar that we had to
I
hit.
mean, I've had to like give people realities, like look, like I've had to say, like, look, you're on your way to diabetes, like straight up, like, you're most likely here's how you will die. You will either lose your vision at one point, you'll lose a leg. This will happen. You're gonna die early death of this. Like, this is the track. I've had to like lay that out for people,
Yeah.
but I don't ever say that out of like anger or like
Oh,
anything
of
like that.
course.
I always say things out of love. So I do believe in sales. Like, if you can wrap your head around like the big picture. So like if you're someone who is doing sales, like uh, sell as much as you fucking can, but sell on the belief that like you're trying to help people at the end of the day. If you truly believe that you're trying to help somebody, then nothing and you believe in the product, then nothing you're selling should make you feel like dirty. Otherwise, then you got to go find something else to sell.
Yeah.
But for me, like the guy who probably sold me that membership, like, I gave him a little bit of pushback. I wasn't just like, yeah, let me give you my fucking money, like,
Yeah.
you know, um, and when you give someone pushback, like, that puts up their guard, and they're like, oh, I might not get this, like, but I did get sold, and I did get an awesome membership. LA Fitness has great equipment. Like, sometimes the gyms are a little dirty, and people fucking put the 95s were next
Oh
to the
God.
15s, or the like. You can't, dude. I've been to some LA Fitnesses down in West Palm Beach area, and some of them are so fucked. But it's wherever you go. And I'm going on like a tangent right now, um but no, like I'm glad I got sold the membership. Most of them are pretty good quality gyms with like hammer strength and good
Yeah,
equipment.
they are.
Yeah. Um so I mean, let me pull up the topics, man, because I'll keep us on track here. At least try to. Let's let's see. What else do we have? Okay, so we also have sleep, which we touched on a bit. Magnesium, guys. That's my biggest tip for sleep. You could do do you ever do like melatonin or anything like that?
Yeah. Some other ones I'd like melatonin, valerian root,
Uh-huh.
5-HTP.
Yeah, like a sleep supplement.
Yeah. My biggest thing
Mhm.
was like I turned
Oh,
the on my phone. I think it's the blue light. It's called where it's
yeah, you
like
could switch it to like a neutral date or like a
yeah.
night
I
light.
switched to that, and then I won't like watch TV for like an hour before. Like I might just like listen to something like a podcast,
Yeah.
but I just kind of
Honestly,
don't.
if I listen to a podcast, I can like bore the fuck out sometimes, and
Yeah,
I'll doze off.
but that's beneficial.
Mhm.
And then the other thing is like trying like so I won't listen to a bodybuilding podcast,
I
something that
will.
I'm like going to get engaged in. It'll be some random topic,
Uh-huh.
like just maybe it's like conspiracy theories or
Oh
something.
yeah.
It's not going to
Or
be
like a
because
Joe Rogan episode or something
yeah,
like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
something that's kind of neutral. Um,
Yeah, because if something picks up my interest, like I come up out of my sleep and be like, I need to listen in on this. Like,
yeah,
you
they'll
know,
start talking about like doses or something. I'll be like, wait, what was that dose that he said? Let me write.
Yeah. No, I
So
heard something earlier today that piqued my interest on a podcast. A lot of like the things with podcast guys is like these might be an hour or two episodes. You might get out of 90% of the episode nothing out of it, but like there might be 10% of gold in here. So like,
yeah,
this is just supposed to be like kind of a natural conversation that stuff just flows out. And we hope that we're hoping, you getting through your cardio session or fucking just getting through your day. Like, we do this because it's just fun. And um, we
podcasts
might catch
dominate most of
ideas
what I
too out
watch.
of each other. What's that?
I really don't watch TV much. I listen to podcasts. I mean,
Yeah, me
that's
too.
what I consume most of the day.
Yeah, and then I mean the other thing with sleep is like there's a lot of like good tips and tricks. One thing that like if you're trying to sleep on prep, if you're taking tren, when I would not take tren right before bed. Um, this is a little bit more specific, with tren and sleep because tren can cause insomnia, especially if you're doing it infrequently to where you're doing it like every other day or twice a week or something like that, and you're doing acetate's a very fast acting ester. Some people can get away with every other day, but for me I would inject it every day, and I would inject it closer to the morning time or midday,
Hmm.
and ideally before your workout too, so you can have that um the neuro effects in your training and that aggression in your training versus walking around just like aggressive all day and ready to fucking snap on somebody.
I would say the
Uh,
same thing for Clen. Like if you're splitting your dose, try to
mhm.
split it in the beginning and middle of the day. Like try not
Yeah,
to have to
keep it
do a
probably
dose
before
mixer.
5 p.m.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean that's it. Like and then otherwise, yeah, add a sleep supplement. But like um
once you get to a certain point though, like when you're 4 weeks out, you can do
it's a
everything.
reality, man.
Yeah,
Like it's just a reality at that point. I mean, like we could talk about sleep and as an insomnia, but the other like part of sleep is like how much sleep should you get in off season? Like, what do you, I mean? I remember last week you said you take a nap in your car for that hour of the day
yeah.
when you're on your
I'll try
lunch
to do
break.
one nap every day, at least an hour.
Yeah, man. When I'm like real in the off season, and like my sleep is just starting to improve again, to where like I dozed off in my car for a good hour and a half yesterday, and it was a great sleep.
Yeah,
And I went and did my workout after. But like, dude, that sleep is anabolic, man. That's when you're growing, and like I would definitely catch a nap, hour, 2 hours, and it's like oh, I'm being fucking lazy. It's like you're growing, dude. Like
yeah,
your body's building muscle and shit. You're recovering. Like you've done more fucking work in the gym this week than people do all, on you did more work in the gym on Wednesday than people do all week. So it's like take the
yeah,
fucking rest. Like, you don't have to have this mentality of like more is better. Like I need to be awake, grind 24/7 because there is that mentality. Like, you know, I don't know, man. Like, I I think that shit's kind of overrated. Like, especially if your goal is to be a bodybuilder. Like, the reality is you have to sleep. You got to eat, sleep, train. It's not just eat and train.
yeah.
You have to
And
recover.
the majority of the people that are like saying, "Oh, you're being lazy," or they're just for that hour, they're just sitting on their phone scrolling
Yeah.
through Instagram.
If
So
you
I
can
mean,
turn your mind off, that's a powerful thing, man. If you could lay down on the couch, knock out anywhere. I hear like some guys like fuck man, who is it? Um fuck, dude, who's that guy that was very promising to be a Mr. Olympia, but just Rolly. I heard he can sleep like the night before the Olympia. Like there's some guys that just fucking knock out anywhere. Like they
yeah,
can sleep. Like there's some people that can sleep, and that's like a genetic outlier in itself. Like someone who could put themselves to sleep is gonna grow better, you know.
yeah. Sean
And
Roden, they talk about him like that. He would be
I
at dinner and
I
would
think
fall
he
asleep
was
at dinner.
someone. Yeah,
Yeah,
if you can fall asleep, that's you're probably gonna have some good quality muscle, as
yeah,
long as you're training hard. So yeah, sleep is especially in an off season, even in prep. Honestly, I wish I got more sleep in prep because I wish I could see what it would do for me. But it's
yeah,
hard to sleep in prep, man. Like you're go go go. Your next meal, you're counting down the days to the show. You got this much cardio to do. You have to do this workout. You're keeping track of so much. in the off season, you can kind of pump the brakes a little bit. And when you kind of be able to pump those brakes, and you get that sleep, you recover. And like, I know I need to mix some of that in if I really want to make the most out of this rebound. So I think July, that plan I sent you yesterday,
Yeah.
I think I might start that in July for like the last 4 weeks of this rebound to like ease into my cruise and
Yeah.
my health phase. I think that would be good by like letting the rest. Like I think right now is good getting the body like acclimated to training, moving food again, and then I think once my body weight stabilizes, then it's time to like, all right, now here's what I have to work with and here's what I have to build off of.
Hmm.
Let's go try to hold this over the next 8 weeks. 4 try to push it up, and then 4 try to hold it in that health phase, and then 4 to 6 week health phase, and then go on, depending on blood work, go do the off season blast at that point.
Yeah.
Um, sodium. Sodium's another one, man.
I'm
Uh,
huge on sodium.
yeah, how
I think
many
it's like
grams of sodium do you take in a day? Like, okay,
probably
like for first off season versus prep, because like I think prep and off, like I would say mine is mostly consistent year round.
I'm the same way. I'm the same prep and off season.
But the thing is though, like I think it's important to dial in the sodium at the end. But I want to hear your approach. Like, okay, like off season, like how many grams of sodium a day are you taking in?
I probably have like between 1 to 1.5 grams of sodium each meal, depending on what
So
I'm
you're
eating.
you're cranking the salt. Are you use a shaker or like a crank?
Uh, just like it's one of those. I like actually pour it in my hand,
Oh,
so I
really?
kind of
So you know
eyeball it.
them. You have the eyeball. Okay.
Yeah, and it's the same. It's the same amount every meal. Now, if I have
Uh-huh.
like an extra sauce, like a soy sauce on something, that would account for the 1 to 1.5. But I have like a gram of
Uh-huh.
salt that I put on, and then
Dude, I
whatever
love
sauce is
soy sauce
additional.
on top of meals. Like,
It's
like the thing
amazing.
is, I have this one that's Dale's steak seasoning. You ever use that?
No,
Dude, it's so good.
is it soy
It's
sauce?
Yeah, I'll grab it real quick. I'll show you what it is.
Another one I really like is the G Hughes, the teriyaki. Have you ever had that?
I've got that right now too. Um, I just picked up some flavor gang sauces too. Yeah, these flavor
I've never
gang
had those.
sauces.
I've always been interested though.
Dude, I'm the sauce. I've got so much sauce. Like, like this is how you're able to eat chicken and rice every day, dude. Like, um, so all right, this is the Dales. This stuff,
Okay.
it's so good, dude. I'm telling you, if you ever have like a steak meal, do you eat any red meat right now?
I was doing it a lot when I first came off my show, but right now it's just chicken and turkey for the most
I've
part.
stuck. Are you doing 99 lean?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. Is it? How are you getting that down?
I drink water like with every bite for the most part.
Really? Is it
So
that
like a
dry? I've
scoop
never
of
done. I
it
never really
really is,
did
yeah.
99 lean. You know what you can probably do is do like take 99 lean. I mean, it's up to you, but like you could take 2 pounds of 99 lean to 1 pound of 93, and that would
Yeah.
be 95, right?
Yeah. And I mean Justin
So
allows like a little bit more fat in all the meals, so I could if I
or you
wanted
go
to.
th- you go 3 or 4 like pounds of 99 lean to one, then I think each pound like you're going to be increasing the leanness of it by
Yeah.
1%, right? So if it's one, then you have 6. You have 2 pounds to 1 pound, you have 93, what
97
90
3.
nine well, hang on, yeah, 97% lean, 3% fat, you know so I haven't done ground turkey. I've been doing just chicken, and I might throw in a burger for my free meal or a
Okay.
red meat. I mostly try to keep everything lean. I don't really want too much added fats in the diet other than like some almond butter on my low days and medium days, but not too much red meat right now, at least not just yet. I do feel like it is like I feel like I do build well off of it and it sits well on my stomach
Yeah.
and this stuff tastes amazing on it. However, This has 1,200 milligrams of sodium per 17
Yeah,
milliliters. Dude, it's a gram of sodium just in that.
for 17 grams.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So like your G Hughes,
I think it's like
right? Like
250 or
so
500, right?
your teriyaki marinade, yeah, for 15 grams of this, it's 250. So a
Yeah.
quarter of a gram. Your teriyaki marinade, I think this is probably the same thing. This is sesame teriyaki marinade. This is just teriyaki marinade. Same thing, 250. Now on the flavor gang, this is sweet poppy. It's like a good mustard,
Yeah.
130 for 15 grams. So you could even load this up on prep. Um, zero point 0.5 fat, one carb. What's cool about this too, Ross Flanagan, is it Ross Flanagan?
Planning. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the owner of this company. I heard in a podcast recently that he is coming out with like a licensed nutrition label to where it's called. I'm not exactly sure on the name, but the FDA lets you round up or down these numbers, right? But he's gonna give you the exact number on that. So if it's like you'll round up to 10 calories, but if it's 6 calories, it's 6 calories. Like it will say
Yeah.
that on there. It's not going to say 10. It's not going to be rounded up. This one's I haven't tried this yet. Herb steak sauce. I just picked this up today.
Oh, wow.
1.5 fat, one carb, zero protein, 50 milligrams of sodium.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty prep friendly too. Smoking Poppy is like a sweet barbecue sauce, zero point 0.5 fat, 1 gram of carb, zero protein, 300 milligrams of sodium. So it ranges a bit, but yeah, those are good stuff, dude.
Have you tried the
Um,
mutant sauce?
Mutant's pretty good, dude.
Yeah, it's unique.
It's Have you tried it?
Yeah, it's like a
It's definitely
like a
unique.
it's like a soy barbecue type mixture.
There's like
It's
a
weird.
barbecue, like mustard, like
Yeah.
I don't know what else is in there. It's interesting. Like it's good on chicken.
You know what's weird is I couldn't get enough of it during prep.
Uh-huh. And then
After
after?
prep, I was like, ugh,
Uh-huh.
like it didn't taste the same. It's weird.
Have you ever tried the sriracha maple?
No, I've seen it
Dude,
though.
that one is good. At
Is it
least I
really?
thought it was really good during my prep. Yeah, dude. I used to put it on my chicken and rice, like fresh rice and chicken, like it has that like sweetness from the maple. Yeah, it's maple sriracha. So it has like a sweetness from the maple and then like a little spice, but not like where you're burning your fucking mouth. I don't really like too hot of hot sauce.
I'm the same.
You know, I can't do
I
it. Some
used
people
to
love hot sauce.
when I was younger.
Yeah, no, it just kind of ruins it for me. It just distracts me from like, the other flavors. But yeah, that one's really good. So, um I mean, I think if your sodium's consistently high like that, your body will adjust. Like if you go from eating 1,000 milligrams of sodium a day to 500, there's going to be like a 20 to 48-hour period where your
Oh
body
yeah.
has to manipulate its mineral balance a little bit, but you're always going to, your blood volume is always going to be zero point 0.9 milligram or 0.9% as long as you're hydrated properly. And you're taking in enough minerals. But I think during an off season, it's beneficial to have the extra minerals. I think during a prep, it's good to keep sodium high because it's going to help you feel less fatigued. Like I've taken salt, loaded up salt like pre-workout to like, get some
Same.
blood flow,
Yeah.
like done like
If you
two,
don't
three
have carbs,
grams.
if you don't have carbs for a pump, load up the sodium. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, like this is the issue, like for me with the sodium. I think if you're loading it extremely high, at least I couldn't tell you the other side of this coin because I haven't experimented on this other side, but I'll tell you what, like my show going into Puerto Rico, dude, I was doing like 6 grams of sodium a day up until like Wednesday before the show.
Yeah.
So we had to like, I asked my coach, like, hey, is this like the right amount of like, it's a bad time to ask this question, but hey, is this how much sodium I should be putting on the food? And he's like, dude, how long have you been doing that? Like, oh, since since Sunday or Monday, this
Yeah.
is kind of what I've always done. It's like, dude, that's way too much. Like, we need to get that under control. Like, well, I've been using this scooper, so I've been, consistent with it. He's like, it's just going to be too much. That's why you're kind of holding water, and you look like this at this point in the day, or I'm like, okay. So then we started pulling it out, and like it started to make a difference. But I couldn't tell you how, if we were to have kept it consistent, at that 5-6 grams a day, like what would have
Mhm.
happened. But I do know this: the next show I did, which was 2 weeks later, which was the Clash, I started measuring out the sodium to where I was having 250 milligrams, 300 milligrams per meal, times 6 meals. It's like 1,800, maybe
Mhm.
2,000 milligrams of sodium a day. At most 2,500 milligrams from like trace sources like egg whites and other things that are gonna have sodium. But I wasn't like throwing on these sauces, which I
Yeah.
miss them. By that point, man, I would throw
Now,
on a little
did he cut
mustard, but
all
I would
sauces
count
from
it.
them? Did he
What's
cut
that?
all sauces? Did he cut all sauces that you
No, I mean I didn't cut them out, dude.
Okay.
I don't. Oh man, that's another one we're actually talking about in this episode: is artificial sweeteners.
Yeah,
I
that's
didn't list
interesting.
it in the title, but I sent it in the message. I with the sodium in the sauces, that's the reason why you may want to get a handle on them, because some of these sauces have 1,200 milligrams of sodium. Some of these sauces have 50 milligrams of sodium. So if you're variable like that, like you don't want to have mixed variables going into a peak week. Sodium, water, like those things need to be consistent. Like that's the thing. That's like the general rule of thumb, I think. Now, the other component is like if you're using diuretics to peak for a show, how much sodium can point to, could a quarter diazide pull from your body versus how much sodium could a full 25 milligram diazide pull from your body? How much sodium does a 50 milligram diazide pull from your body? I don't know. But I think like if you're going overkill on the sodium, it's a sodium, it flushes your sodium, right?
Hmm.
Does it matter how much sodium is in your body, or does it just take the ratio or the blood volume? I don't know exactly how it works, right? So, but I will say we had our sodium consistent, man. It was around like let's just call it 2,000 milligrams a day. Um, Even as we carb loaded, like the meals had about 2 cranks of salt on them each, and I felt like I loaded just fine, and I felt like I peaked the best I ever peaked. And I took less diuretic. I took a quarter diazide versus a half diazide, uh, a few times throughout the Friday and Saturday, before and the day of the show. And I felt like I had brought my best look yet. So I think going forward into peaks, like by like 2 weeks out, or at least by that week out or 10 days out or eight, like that Saturday before the show,
Yeah.
I would maybe even say earlier, like the Wednesday before the show, like because you might need 2 or 3 days to kind of adjust to that. Get the sodium to like, I don't want to say low sodium, but enough to where your training performance is still good and you have a consistent look. Because like if you're throwing in, oh, I want to throw in I need a good pump today, man. It's a 4 days before the show. I'm gonna throw in 10 grams of sodium
Oh,
before.
that's ridiculous.
Like that's just throwing a variable in there, man. You don't know where that's gonna land by the end of the week, by Saturday, if show
Yeah.
day is Saturday. So,
Now I
and then
think like
the other thing I touched on last week is like Thursday, Friday, you're not sweating as much,
yeah.
so you're not depleting that sodium the same way
Yeah.
you would. And I don't want to say taper sodium. I think keep it consistent, but keep it at a controllable amount that and you and your coach agree upon
Hmm.
is a good amount. Don't just fucking throw, you know, don't sabotage yourself. I did that pretty much. So just learn from
Yeah.
my mistake.
I think consistency is more important than the amount. So if you have someone that,
I
let's
think
say,
so too.
I think that's the biggest part, because I'm wondering, like, let's say you have a competitor going into a show and he's been on 2 grams of sodium the whole prep, and you have the same competitor, let's say the exact same person, but like a twin, going into the show and they've been on 8 grams of sodium. I
Right.
think their looks are going to be fairly similar.
If they did the exact same thing, I think it's probably more about the consistency than the actual amount, because I think
I
your
agree.
body knows what to do with the amount. It knows how to excrete out extra. You might,
Yeah.
one guy might sweat more, one guy might sweat less, but I don't know, man. I think it's pretty much, it comes down to the consistency. And from what I hear, like they say, keep sodium high. I hear a lot of
Yeah.
guys just say keep sodium high, keep water this, pretty much the same, and then you kind of just you maybe taper the water off going Friday night, Saturday morning of the
Yeah.
show.
One thing I will say is, if your sodium's high, you better be drinking a lot of water.
Yeah.
If you're on 2 grams of sodium, you can probably be one of those guys that gets away with like a gallon a day. But if you're
Mm-hmm.
taking in 8 grams of sodium, you better be having,
Mm-hmm.
8 liters of water a day just to flush that.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. I mean, yeah. I mean, the other part is like the artificial sweeteners. Like, I think you got to pay attention to digestion is number one. I don't think it's like hard.
Yeah.
I don't know if they like are making you hold water in any way. Um, I use a lot of sucralose and Splenda.
Yeah.
I use it in the off season. I use probably like 5 or 6 packets a day of it, 6 Splendas a day. Um, I never have any issues with it. Now, stevia bloats me, erythritol bloats me, anything that ends in tall, maltol, xylitol, which is in a lot of like these, like you go into like Sprouts or like Whole Foods,
Oh
like
yeah.
they got these like, oh, they're like sugar-free candies, like yeah, but it's like got a bunch of sugar alcohol that's gonna just blow your fucking ass out. Like,
Yeah.
we're gonna cause, and then some of them will even say like may cause GI distress, may have a laxative effect. Like, I wouldn't want to be chewing gum morning of the show and then blowing my guts out in the bathroom
Yeah.
before prejudging and missing my call out or something like that. Like, or I wouldn't want to be bloated, dude, being bloated on stage.
Oh, it kills your look. I mean, you look like shit if you're bloated.
Yeah,
Especially like in like a men's physique class. If you come
can
in
be.
bloated,
Yeah.
you're right to the last call out at that point.
Yeah.
But like, as far as artificial sweeteners, like I'll have them throughout the prep. Like I'll drink diet soda. I'll have like the little Mio squirt bottles in my
Yeah.
water. I'll
Mhm.
put like stevia or sucralose in my oatmeal. But like what I've been doing is, at a week out, I'll cut it in half. So if I was having maybe like one diet soda a day, I'll maybe have like one every other day. If I was
Uh-huh.
doing 2 packs of sweetener in my oatmeal, I'll do 1 pack. Just because
Yeah.
if my digestion's been fine, I just want to be a little bit more careful. And then what I'll do is I'll just cut it in half just to prevent any kind of like gut issues or bloating.
And you're
And I've
doing
been
that a
fine.
week out. So like by a week out, like that's still consistent. It's not like he's
Yeah.
like, you know, um and that's probably the number one name of the game is consistency going into a peak, you know.
Now, some
Who are you gonna
coaches, like I know Matt Jensen, has guys cut it out at like 8 weeks. No sauces, no diet
do you
soda.
know who Ben Chow is? Scott like
Yeah.
Chow?
Yeah.
I heard he cuts it like 5 weeks out.
I don't
Dude, I
understand the
couldn't work
point
with
of
a
that.
coach that fucking does that. Well, I could, but like it's just like, bro,
If you
like
really think it's going to make a difference, I would say 2 weeks
let's
out is
let's let's do
reasonable.
the first 5 weeks of prep without them, where I don't care too much about food just yet. I
Yeah.
don't need to make it taste good. Then
Yeah.
let's add them in at 5 and just let's see. Week 2. Okay, does this change my look? Do I look worse? Am I holding water? Am I bloated? Is my digestion messed up? I'd rather do the first 5 weeks without them and then add them in at the 5 weeks into the show
Yeah.
versus pulling them.
It'd be
Like
interesting to see if your look changes at all.
it would be an interesting experiment. So if someone out there wants to do a prep where they or has photos like when they pulled out a sweetener, like if it really changed their look, if they got tighter, if they held less water, if they're like, yeah, if your gut is feeling better pulling them out, pull them the fuck out and
Yeah.
ride that, man. You don't want gut issues by any means. But I think if everything's consistent and fine, I would say keep them in. Now, day of
I
the
agree.
show, like I wouldn't say day. I don't know, man. I don't think you need them day of the show, like because the
I've
morning
done
of the show.
sausage day of the show before.
I think if you go to sleep, like pretty much any water that you picked up today from like a food is probably through your gastrointestinal tract because especially how fast your metabolism is just burning up nutrients by the end of a prep and utilizing things. I think that like dude, you'll get up to pee like 12 times in a night. Like
Oh
if
yeah,
there's any fucking water on your body, like something else is up, like um in the morning of the show, like what are you having to eat? Like you're
yeah,
having like I don't know, maybe like 4 ounces of beef, or maybe some chicken, and 100 grams of rice, and some salt, and maybe an
yeah,
English muffin, and maybe a little bit of honey. You know, um,
yeah. You shouldn't be having like 5 packs of sucralose and oatmeal like
what
the
do
day
you?
before.
Okay. Well, no. Okay, tell me what you think about this. Um, having like, because some people get up on show day
Uh huh.
and they'll have like pancakes.
I don't agree with it. I don't.
You
I don't
think it's
understand.
throwing like a Hail Mary kind of
You're
thing?
just taking a risk. You've never had this food your entire prep.
Hmm.
You're going to a place where you're not in control of how they're cooking it. They could drop that pancake on the floor and pick it up and put it on your plate. So
And
you're
now you got
risking
food
food
poisoning.
poisoning. Yeah, I don't understand it. I think
Yeah.
it's if you have to have like a now. I mean, some guys, I'm sure their metabolism is so quick. Like someone like Roman Fritz
I've seen people do,
probably
yeah,
has to have
yeah,
some junk.
but I've heard that he's someone who never, like, dude, we didn't have any fucking gluten in my diet at all, like through prep.
Yeah.
Like, if I had a high carb day, it was rice, or it was cream of rice. My coach just said I want to run it like this, but we added English muffins in at the last minute. He's like, have an English muffin. Like, we started carving up with a little English muffins on Friday,
Hmm.
or maybe Saturday. I don't. He might have thrown it in last minute on Saturday, but I felt great.
Yeah.
I had a little honey on it, and like I did a crank of salt on top of the honey.
Yeah.
I threw it in the microwave for like 10 seconds because I didn't have a toaster. It was at a
Yeah.
hotel. It was good, dude. It was so good. I remember being like, oh, this is fucking just bread,
The
dude.
amount of
Tastes good.
gluten though in one English muffin versus a stack of pancakes is
Yeah.
significantly different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wouldn't risk it with something like that.
Yeah. I mean, there's also like shit loading the night before the show, which I just don't know. Have you ever shit loaded?
Not for a show. I mean, I've done it just like I've been in like really good shape and then been like, let's see what happens. And I never
Yeah,
looked better the next day. I was bigger, I was fuller, but it wouldn't have been a good show look.
I
You know?
did it for a show.
Did you? How'd you look?
I peaked myself for a show once, actually. This was like after my show in 2021. I went and did the show the next week down by my mom's house because I was like, well, it's right there. I'll do the show. I winded up like Tuesday being able to drop from like I was like 168 on Monday, and then by like Thursday, I was like 157. So I was
Oh,
like,
shit.
I just started doing cardio. I was just like, all right, I'm gonna do 2 hours of cardio and
Yeah.
fucking get it and like lower the carbs. And I just flushed out all the water and I was like, I'm in shape again. Do the show. And I was like, I'm gonna shitload. So Friday night, I got like 2 or 3 things of sushi. I got like these 2 big cookies. And like I only drank a gallon of water that day. And like I mean, the other part of this is like I was also getting fucked up at the time. Like I was doing
Okay.
like I was doing like blow, and I was fucking. I don't know if you know what kratom is.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, kratom. I'll tell you what, I would get through a prep, no fucking problem with that. Like
Really?
you drink, yeah. The thing is, you drink kratom, and it like gives you like, all right, you have like pep in your step. You're not pissed off in prep. You're like saying hi to people and shit. You
Oh,
actually like
yeah.
feel like you have this energy. And kratom like you'll see it at expos, like bodybuilding expos.
Oh, I know it's big in the fitness industry.
Yeah, it does work. However, it's an opioid.
Okay.
Like, and the thing is, it will fuck your gut up. Like, it will. It will just not that it like a bloat or anything like that. It just slows. It like slows down digestion, or it has some of a constipation. is kind
Okay.
of basically what it causes. So it'll back you up. And I would drink, I would do blow and like you get fucking geeked up from the blow. And then I would kind of like pair it with kratom sometimes because I would kind of take the edge off of the Coke. And pretty much what with that it also it's hydrophobic, that the actual powdered kratom. So it it kind of, I think it clogs your digestive tract or something like that. But anyways, I woke up that morning of the show. I looked tight. I had a tight stomach after that. I didn't take any diuretics or anything. But then I decided to go to McDonald's and get a breakfast sandwich and a hash brown. And I just couldn't really control my midsection as well on stage. And
After that,
like, I was like, I don't know what I looked after the show. I was like, well, I won my class. I still won the class, but I wasn't sure if I looked better at this show or that show. And then the pictures came out and I was like, huh, yeah, no, I think I look tighter and better. And because I wanted, what I wanted was, I wanted to have that like day after the show pump feeling in the gym. And I wanted to try to put that on stage.
yeah.
And it's just, it looks washed. It's more washed than.
Do you think if you would have shitloaded, but the morning of the show went right back to like chicken and rice, that would have been a good look on stage?
I think if I were to have shitloaded, I shouldn't have done drugs.
Okay, yeah.
I think if I would have shitloaded too, I would have drank more water.
Okay, yeah.
To flush it through better. And I would have done like a senna tea, or I would have done like a fiber powder or something to cleanse you out. I would
I've
drink
done
like
the senna tea before every show, like the night before,
yeah.
and I really like it.
I would do it with a senna tea.
Yeah.
And I think that if you're shitting things out and getting things to go out the back door, like, I think you could look pretty good. I think you're still rolling the dice in terms of spilling.
Yeah, I agree.
I think if you're extremely flat, if you're flat,
yeah.
Like, I mean, I gave my client a kind of a shitload. I had him go to Village Inn. I had him have cheesecake. I had him have hash browns, eggs. So there's some fats in there. And the cheesecake's gonna have some fats. What else did he have? I don't know what else he had, but like basically a shit meal, or pancakes. He had pancakes the night before.
Okay.
I had him take Metamucil with it though.
Okay.
So the fiber powder. And I asked him in the morning, hey, did you get to go to the bathroom? And I had him drink 2.5 gallons of water.
Yeah.
And he woke up perfect. But like this was his first show. He's already a very lean individual. His prep was the easiest prep ever. He never did more than 45 minutes of cardio. I think maybe 5 days a week, which is not
good.
It's moderate. It's pretty moderate, I mean, my cardio got up. It was 45 minutes 4 times a week till about 4 weeks out.
Mm-hmm.
Then we added, I think, another session. And we rode that. And we were doing just bike, and then I was getting just beat from the bike. My knees were kind of taking a hit because I was just like on this tiny little fucking bike, bending my knees the whole entire time. Like,
yeah.
So I said, let me jump on the treadmill. And I couldn't keep my heart rate up either. I was using like my Apple Watch. I'd be at like 113. I'm like, I need to be at 120 to 130.
Oh, sure.
And just cooking on this bike, and now my ass is getting lean as shit. I don't have the fat, on the glutes to like sit on this bike. So I know I can set the treadmill to this and be at 120, 130, no problem. So let me walk on the treadmill. Which I don't know if like that's something. Oh, we're gonna eat up your legs like that. I think you're just beat up your
treadmill
ankles.
Will eat up your leg. I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. I don't know about like maybe the stairs might beat up your legs, but you get so much out of them.
It's tough, like, because I've heard like Justin was talking about that in one podcast, and he references like Kai Green, used to do
does 15 minutes before every workout.
Yeah, it has the craziest legs ever.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, I mean, but then it's also Kai Green. What Kai Green
exactly, yeah.
What would the Kai Green look like if he didn't do that?
Yeah, it's interesting. I definitely feel like my legs thin out just from cardio to a certain
I
degree.
I feel like my legs thinned out because like I mean post show like I feel like they filled up again. Like I
Mhm.
feel like at certain points in my progress photos, I'm like, you look at the legs, you're like, they're just not full.
Yeah.
You know, but then like I looked at like 4 weeks out, I'm like, dude, my legs are gonna look sick. Like, I don't know if I like lost my legs, but we came in fucking lean and like I don't know, man.
I have pictures of 6 weeks out from the Harbor Classic show
Uh-huh.
where my legs look fucking insane. Like, look
Best
crazy.
were
Yeah,
glutes in.
they were. They weren't striated, but they were.
Hmm.
You could see like the feathering in them.
You could
And
start
then
to
we
see it.
we pulled down like another 10 pounds, and you could see it almost went like directly from my legs. Like
Yeah,
my
so
legs
like
looked
that's the thing I think
underwhelming at that
people
point.
that like there's a certain point where like I feel like the legs just flatten out and it's like I don't know how you can fill them up. Um
Mine don't come back for a while. Like they will come
like
back in a couple weeks.
I don't know how you fill them up. Like I almost want to say like you have to still hit them hard. But it's like you don't have the carbs to hit them hard, you
Yeah,
know. But do you have to hit them hard without the carbs in order for the carbs to actually get there to go? Or are you just burning them out more?
yeah,
Okay, so let's jump into junior nationals. I mean, you saw the winner of the super heavies,
yeah,
and he looked a little soggy.
yeah. He was actually a heavyweight that won the
Oh,
overall.
the guy in the red trunks or whatever it
Yeah.
was.
Now, when I first saw his pictures,
He
like I was
looked
like,
good.
this guy
Yeah. So I
looks
mean, those
fucking good.
pictures they kind of look like they're shot on a potato, but
Yeah.
but
But then you sent me
no,
the high def video of him posing,
yeah,
and when he turns around, you could see there's skin folds on his glutes, and
uh-huh,
not water, but actual like body fat still there.
yeah. No,
But
it's
I mean,
body fat. You
the
don't see
rest
any
of his
like
physique
the
looks
skin's
insane.
not lean. Yeah, and like do I mean I hear pros even saying like they make that call like or they'll flatten out because they chase glutes and stuff like that. Like
Yeah,
it's like I think you really need a good coach in order to know how to manage that because that's a management aspect of bodybuilding.
yeah.
Because like do you come like I like I hate like what I heard someone say this at the show at the class. She's like, "Are these judges looking for more fullness or more conditioning?" It's like, bro, just fucking be peeled. Like,
Yeah,
I think 9 out of 10 times just be peeled. Like, and let the chips fall where they will. Like I would
especially
never
the
like
local
go
show.
into a show thinking they want fullness at this show. Like, no,
Yeah,
they want your fucking best look at this show. Like,
yeah,
but then I think as you get into like I think it's more important for bodybuilding because it's like if you're on that cusp of a weight class, what's your better look? Are you a better um what's the order? I don't exactly know. So you have a super heavy, you have a heavy,
light,
you have
heavy,
you have a light
middle,
heavy, you have a middleweight,
welterweight, lightweight,
welterweight,
bantamweight.
lightweight, bantamweight.
Yeah,
So yeah, do you play up or do you play down? So like I think that's where that matters in amateur bodybuilding. In pro level bodybuilding, like then like okay, well, you by that time, like I think where your weight should be for if you're an open
yeah,
bodybuilder, like you should know where your weight looks best at,
hmm,
and you kind of hit that target, and you play, that weight maybe moves up a little bit each year. But you play around with that and you see what you're able. That's just management, and then having worked with a coach for a period of time to where they're either they know where your look is or you learn that look with your coach, and that's why I think sticking with a coach for a consistent period is key. um but also there is room for finding a coach that you really do gel with.
yeah.
So yeah,
I
that
definitely
was
think that
interesting though.
I feel like condition is like you were saying is more important at the
Hmm.
amateur level, like especially like in bodybuilding. Like you'll see Like, let's say you have a heavyweight class. The cap is
Uh-huh.
221. If you have a smaller guy in the heavyweight class that isn't peeled,
Yeah.
the judges are going to tell him you should have went down to light heavyweight because you're not in
Yeah.
shape for heavyweight. I said they're going to kind of
Mhm.
hold it against you if you come in soft at like a national show where you could go down a weight class and be more
Right.
conditioned. But like
Yeah.
open, like you saw at the Arnold Classic, Samson was first place, who had kind of a fuller, maybe a little bit softer look. Nick
But it's
Walker
just he was
peeled out
just
his mind at second. You know what I mean?
right. Yeah, yeah. So that's
So
where it could be because it's just like what's a more complete look for that individual, you know?
yeah,
Like if Samson were to have pulled down more, like would he have lost some of that roundness to him?
maybe. You
You
know?
know? If Nick wasn't as lean, like would he lose that kind of freak factor?
Yeah,
You
it's
know?
interesting.
Yeah. So I think you got
Uh,
to just play your strengths. It's like with posing and stuff. You don't show shots that are like weak shots for you. You know, like
yeah,
you have to hide your weaknesses and um show off your strengths.
I
So
think
you got to
another thing
figure.
is how you distribute fat. Like if you evenly distribute fat throughout your body, you
Uh
can
huh.
probably pull down to where you have glutes. But if
Yeah,
you're holding a lot of fat on your glutes and your lower
you might
back,
lose upper body too.
yeah, and everything else is already peeled, you're only going to lose
Hmm.
muscle off those other body parts.
Yeah, it looked like that guy's upper body was pretty tight. Like I would
It was.
say,
It
I
really
mean
was.
his quads were there, but I think he needs like another like to truly see what that physique is like skin lean. He needs another like 5 pounds off of him at least.
Yeah.
You know.
5 pounds, he's a pro, I would think. I mean, with the way his like
Hmm.
structure was put together, now his waist was a little bit
Yeah,
wild,
no, if you were to pull
but
down 5 pounds, like another five, maybe even 10 pounds, I
yeah,
don't know where that would have put him at that point, though. What
yeah. I wonder
class,
what
you
his
know?
weight was because he wasn't a tall guy.
Yeah,
Be interesting.
yeah, and he won the overall. That's interesting.
Now, what did you think of the classic overall winner? He was Class A, right?
Yeah, dude. I really felt like the classic guys, like they were pretty much every class, A through whatever H was pretty stacked. I think like I didn't see everything. I just saw the updates posted on NPC Junior Nats on Instagram and then NPC News Online. But from what I could see is like those classic guys brought it, man. Like, I think like class A and B is kind of what I was looking at because that's where I would fall into. So I wasn't really like I would scroll by like D. Well, I'm not going to be in D. Like, you know, if I was in the overall, of course I'd be competing with those guys, but I got to win one
Yeah,
battle first before I'm looking at the other guys. You know, I didn't even give a shit at this last show who's in class, C or D or B because I have to go
yeah,
win class A. But um no, I thought they looked really good. Like I was actually pretty impressed overall with the national, with junior nationals. And then I definitely looked at the men's physique guys. Thought they were pretty good, man. And I feel like I'm not too far off from where that level could be.
no, I agree.
Um, I think I'm like on the cusp of having some pro level body parts in terms of like I think I could really have my back be pro level by the time May next year rolls around. Now, how I change my training and stuff like that and what I do in my off season to really like put some focus on like say the chest, the abs, the shoulders, could always have bigger arms. I feel like,
Yeah, nobody got
you
penalized for
know,
having big arms.
if you have like a fucking crazy tricep, dude, like everyone's looking at that, like
Oh yeah,
which I just saw a sick exercise. I'll send it to you, bro. It's from Dusty. You got to try this. It's dude, my triceps are. I'll send you the exercise. It's so
yeah. Send
sick.
it to me.
It's just a simple exercise. It's just a little like superset with a underhand grip pull down. But the way you do it is you don't just like go out like this. You pull the elbows in. But the way he explains it's really good. And then you do underhand, which I never don't do underhand too much. Underhand push downs.
I do it
Then you
infrequently.
Yeah, and then you go to a close grip. Now, what you're doing though is your arms aren't out here like this. You pull the arms in like this, you press down, and then when you come up, you don't just stop here. you like let the wrist bend a little bit so you can get this like good stretch in the try, and then
Yeah.
you press back down, right? It's cool. The way he explains it in just the video is really good. It's like a minute or 2 minute video. Um, but yeah, so I think I'm on the cusp of having some pro level men's physique shots. It's just I think, and I haven't really like made this public yet about my plans for like competing next, but the plan is to compete at Junior USA's in 2024, which is 48 weeks out from today. And I think with a good off season, especially like my last off season, I was focused on building legs and everything like that for classic physique, which doesn't mean I won't continue to try to build legs. It's just the priority has to shift towards more of the beach muscles, the men's physique muscles for to fit that division the best. And like I'm close in that division, so it's like, and besides, like if I do turn pro, I'm probably taking another year to try to bring my pro package.
Yeah.
I'm not jumping in to go do my pro debut later that year.
No, I agree.
Probably not. I'd probably
Unless
take
it
the
lined up
year.
like the Tampa Pro was like a week after.
Well, it's
I mean,
August. I mean, it would be May, June, July,
yeah, that's a long time.
August. Well, June, July, August. It's August 6th. It's early August. It's 8 weeks. It's just like you're going to kind of bring us like 8 weeks is just you're going to kind of basically bring the same package.
Yeah.
I'd rather take that 8 weeks and rebound, health phase, show up at the Tampa Pro, hang out, have fun.
Yeah. Look at the competition for next
see
year.
what I got to fucking go up against,
Yeah.
and then go from there and then map out a season, as a pro.
Yeah.
Not just go do one show and shut it down. Like, okay, now it's time to make a season, do a little campaign. Like, okay, I'm going to hit this show. I can go do this after and get on stage with these guys and really like, kind of battle it out versus just like, well, I'm showing up to do one show because I need to get qualified. And, I'm not just trying to take stepping stones at that point. I'm trying to like, at that point, I'm trying to like do a little campaign, a real season. But for now, I gotta, it's a journey, 26 and I'll be 27 later this year. And then by the time I step on the USA stage, be, 27 and, it's just really the beginning for that. So
you haven't even hit your prime years yet.
Yeah. And then, our next topic is post-show rebound. So that's where I'm at right now. And, we've kind of covered like what I'm doing. If you've, kept up with this podcast so far, as to what I'm doing post-show rebound. I was training 6 days a week. Now I'm training more like 5. Because the ab day is not, I wouldn't really almost consider it a training day. It's a training day, but it's more of like a going in there to stretch, active rest kind of day. And I may be backing down to a true 5, because we talked about the importance of recovery and sleep. We talked about the DC training, the higher intensity training, and how for me with my legs last off season, I felt like they really did come up with the higher intensity sets of like 8 to 12. Now I do like some more intensity techniques, and I do like some of the stuff that is in the DC training and what Justin has taken and evolved. So I've sort of formulated my own what would you call it? Like my own evolution of that training. And I'm beginning to form a program for that, which I actually think I might try to release as an ebook or like a download. So I started actually typing it all up on Canva. Well, I typed it up and I sent it to you in the email yesterday, the plan. And then what I started to do like last night at fucking 12:36 at night was I'm like, I need to make an ebook with this. And I started typing it out. So here's kind of like just a quick look.
I think it's
it looks pretty cool, right? And then I wrote up Now, I don't want to just give you the fucking workout plan and run with it. I want to tell you how to set up your nutrition with this, how to like do the carb cycling and stuff like that, and give you some applicable stuff that you can do, and not just because look, guys, the training has to go along with the nutrition. Like yeah, I can just give you a workout plan and you can have fun with it, but you're not going to make progress, if the nutrition's random. Like random nutrition equals random results. Number one. Random trainings can equal random results. So we're not random here, unless you're in the early stages. You just want to have fun. This would be a really fun training program for you. But if you're serious and you really want to like put on some muscle, you're maybe not ready to like work with a coach, or maybe you're not in that period right now or in that season. Like you still want to experiment on your own. This would be a great thing for you to check out once I finally release it. So.
Or guys that maybe can't afford a coach yet, but still want guidance from someone.
Yeah, and it's not going to be like it's going to be fairly priced, because I'm putting a lot of work into this, and I'm going to make sure it's thorough and something that you can follow and easily understand. But at the same time, it's not going to be what the price of a coach would be.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, those are kind of my thoughts, but I want to hear your thoughts, man, on the post-show rebound, because you give me the breakdown between the time you step off stage to the time. Give me. I mean, when did you step off stage?
December 6th, I think, was the day after Nationals. So I actually had kind of two rebounds this season. I had I competed
What was the
August
show before that? August?
August 27th.
Yeah.
So then I had like 14 weeks, I think, until Nationals.
Uh-huh.
So it was two completely different approaches. So coming off the August show, the previous coach I was with, Andrew Barry, he cut my workout frequency to 3 days a week at 60%, just on TRT, and we put in like 200 grams of carbs a day.
What?
Yeah. So training frequency was down to 3 days a week, TRT doses.
So it's like you're like an old man at that point, dude.
I look like, by the time Nationals, which is, if anybody looks at my Instagram page, I don't have any pictures from Nationals.
Why?
I look like absolute shit compared to that August show. Like,
yeah, you know what? You did look a lot. Actually, like looking at that picture on the wall at Advance, and then looking at your you just look really filled out.
yeah,
At that August show,
it was like
I would say you had a lot
difference.
fuller of a rounder look. I mean, you look sharp for
Yeah,
Nationals, but and I wouldn't say you're flat, but for what you can be, I think you have a much more 3D look than what you displayed at Nationals. And
yeah,
not it's just what you learned from. Like, I mean, was that your first national show?
it was. Yeah, I finished 11th out of 22.
Yeah, so I mean, all right, so okay,
I
August
know
you
we're
go
gonna do
into
national
this.
prep at a different show though.
Yeah, I mean, like 14 weeks between a show is like you can make some improvements, but like you can't. I don't think it's. I mean, how long was that planned for? To like
We
be
didn't
on
put
two.
gear back in until 6 weeks out from Nationals.
See, I don't. I understand the reason, because you're trying to like lower the stress of prep, inflammation, things like that, get the body kind of normal again. But then ramping up 6 weeks out, I feel like that's like too short of a 6 week national prep is not enough time.
And
You need at
because
least like 18.
we ended up having to do, like, going into the August show, I was doing a max of 45 minutes cardio.
Yeah.
Since the prep was so short and without drugs, I ended up having to do 2 hours of cardio every day on 0 carbs to get in shape. It was just like, it was terrible, dude. But then contrast that to Justin Harris's Rebound. We pushed food immediately, and then we cut doses like to 50%.
Yeah.
So 50% of total.
So give me some doses. I mean, maybe don't. I mean, if you want to talk dosages, you can share them. Or we could just say 50%.
So coming off,
peak dosage.
I ended up on 600 test and then 1,000 Primobolan for the Rebound.
Yeah. So generally, guys, like if you're getting ready for nationals, generally people are going to be taking, like, at a bare minimum, 1,000 milligrams of gear a week, a gram of gear a week. I would say at a minimum,
Yeah.
I think more likely you're getting about 1.5. You're doing probably maybe 500 milligrams of test, 400 milligrams of Masteron. So that's 900. You're almost at a gram. Um, you might
Some
be
days it's
doing
fun.
you might be doing 200 to 300, 400 milligrams of tren. Now you're at what, 1,000 to 13, or you're at 11 to 1,300.
Probably
You're
50
probably
milligrams
running
of
an
Winstrol a
oral.
day. Yeah.
You're probably taking an oral, so 50 milligrams of Winstrol 7 days a week. That's 350 milligrams. Plus 1,300. Let's just call it. Let's just go on the high end, or we can be conservative, but that's kind of the range. So now you're at 1,650 milligrams. You might be on 50 milligrams of Proviron. That's another 350, or
Yeah.
25 milligrams of Proviron. That's
I was doing 100 milligrams of Proviron running into the show.
yeah. So you might be up at closer to 2-3 grams a year.
Yeah.
That's just the reality. So, okay, 50% of that. So let's just call it 1,500. Right now, you're at maybe
Yeah.
750 total anabolics. Okay,
No orals.
no orals, right?
And then tapering down fat burners. So Clen, whatever dose you're on Clen, it drops to 50% the first week. Then it drops to 25% the second week. And then the third week, you're off all fat burners.
Yeah.
And then we ride that out for 6 weeks. And then you go into a health phase, and then you go into your rebound. So you're taking advantage of that
health phase?
4 to 8 weeks.
Okay, and then where's blood work? Do you get blood work the day after the show?
In the health phase.
Okay.
I don't do blood work. I don't do blood work the day after the show.
The thing is, guys, like bodybuilding, like if you're like someone who has lives under a rock, and you stumble upon this podcast, this might be the most like incriminating fucking dark side that you have ever discovered. But it's like, this is not, I don't want to say we're not trying to make this mainstream by any ways, because bodybuilding has no fucking rules. And
which I love.
Yeah, and it's like the other side of this too is we're not saying go take 1.5 to 3 grams of gear and you're gonna step on a national stage. That the gear is it's the icing on the cake. It's what allows you to do these things, but everything else has to be in order first. And I think anybody who does tune into this is going to understand that. But for the small percentage of people that stumble upon this and are just waiting, because I mean, we put out episodes that are a trend and this and that. That's not the focus, man. It's just a part of the sport. It's a part of the sport that has no rules, and it's not the main focus, though, man. This is a culmination of everything: training, sleep, yes, drugs, nutrition, mental. This is a lifestyle. It's a 24/7 thing. You're not only balancing all these other things, but you're also balancing a job. You're balancing maybe some type of social life or social interaction. You're balancing a relationship. Maybe you're a parent. You're also balancing health. You're also balancing your future. You're balancing finances. So this is it's not, the focus of this is not just anabolics or gear. The focus of this is being a better better bodybuilder, and how it also translates into the other areas of your life, and that's really the goal, because of course we want to win shows and stuff like that, and we have aspirations in bodybuilding, but overall we want to live the absolute best life we can, and we find that this is one of the means that in which we enjoy doing that, and enjoy doing that.
Like anything else is a progression. Like my first show was in 2015. I was 138 pounds. I wasn't taking 3 grams of gear at 138 pounds. You know what I mean? So as you get bigger, a lot of times your doses are going to have to raise. Sometimes, a 300-pound guy is going to have to take more gear than a 200-pound guy to progress. Logically, the 300-pound
Yeah,
guy is going to have to eat more food than the 200-pound guy. It's just a matter of like progression over time. But I
yeah,
like to
and then
think I take a healthy approach to everything I do, the healthiest possible approach.
I like to think of it as this too. I think it's progression and then also refinement, because it's like the 300-pound guy, like, to maybe push into that certain place that you need to be, you might have to do some things that are, out of your comfort zone. And then it comes down to refinement, like Nick Walker, like he doesn't have to like do a crazy off season
Oh, that's a
anymore.
good point. Yeah.
But the thing is, like, you get less out of more. Like, he doesn't have to do 4 or 5 sets to get that muscle to stimulate the way he
Yeah.
actually needs to do. He could do 1 or 2 and really get everything out of it that he needs, So it's like that refinement and just a master of everything. So like, you know, um, big picture, man. Like, you don't want to just blow your load and just take a bunch of gear. I mean, I think I've been mostly, I don't want to say like conservative, but I've been mostly like on the cautious side in terms of cycling.
Yeah.
Um, but I have experimented, So
Yeah. I've pushed
um,
it unnecessarily before just to see. Like, I think that's a natural. If
yeah,
you if you're the
and
type
I
of
think
person
you
that's
should.
attracted to the
I
sport,
think you should too. Yeah.
you're gonna 3 sets is good.
Uh
Maybe
huh.
4 sets is gonna be better.
Uh huh.
You can apply the same logic to
You,
gear at a
you
certain point.
you always have to be learning, but like the thing I like worry about is like I did all my own research, dude. Like, I learned this shit. I dug this shit up myself, and I understood this stuff for myself. Like, I never like to like just school somebody on all this shit, because when you find something yourself, you're more likely to like, and you put an effort to learn something, like, you're going to retain it better and you're going to understand it fully, and you're going to have the actual value of and responsibility of it. When someone just gives you something, like, it's not as valuable. So like, what I encourage you to do, I do encourage you to experiment. And I'm not saying go take 2-3 grams of gear. What I'm saying is do your research, man. Get on the forums, get on the forums, go watch a video, go listen to this pro, go listen to that pro, gather and just gather information. And before you just make a decision, gather some more information, but and then really weigh the pros and cons and understand the whole scope of this thing,
Hmm.
versus just like, well, this guy said this, well, this guy said this. Like, your mom probably told you this as a kid. Hey, if he goes and jumps off a cliff, are you going to do it? He said it's cool.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's like, it's that simple of an analogy. Like, don't just do the first fucking thing. Or like, what my mom used to say? Like, if you ever go to the mall, like, she would say, what would she say? Like, shop around. Like, like,
Yeah.
don't just buy the first thing you see. Like,
Yeah.
you see a pair of shoes you really like, oh, I'm fucking gonna just buy it because I like them. You're gonna go into the next store and see a pair of shoes that you really like even more.
Yeah.
So experiment in everything. Experiment with where you get your information from, um, and just gather as much as you can and make a educated, thoughtful, responsible decision, because that's what it takes,
And in
to
bodybuilding,
be
you're
an
going to
adult.
find such varied opinions. You're going to find two
Hmm.
really smart guys that have been in the
Hmm.
industry a long time that have two completely opposing positions on a topic, and you
Yeah.
have to form your own opinion at some point based on all the information that you've listened
Hmm.
to.
And all this stuff, guys, is subjective. Well, not all of it. I mean, some of it is there's lab tests and clinical trials and stuff like this on this stuff, which you can go off of if you want to, go the book route. But also, like we said, bodybuilding has no rules. Experimentation is, you're free to do that, whatever with it. So, uh, you know, with that, you have to kind of meet somewhere I think in the middle of the spectrum, make educated and also experimental decisions that you're ultimately at the end of the day responsible for those decisions.
Yep.
Um, but going back, now you're working with Justin.
Yep.
6 weeks, rebound.
Hmm.
Okay. 4 week 4 week health phase.
4 to 8 weeks based
Just to
on
pull.
blood work.
So okay, when did you pull blood work?
I did blood work. I think it was like 6 weeks after. So maybe that's like week. Yeah, I guess 6 weeks after. So right at the end of the rebound.
Yeah,
And my
so
blood work
Dorian.
was good. My blood work was good, dude.
Yeah,
Probably
and
the
that was
best it's
on.
been in a
Was that
while.
on 50% dosages too?
Oh, in the same dose, yeah. So I didn't taper off or anything yet.
Okay, and then so yeah, Dorian Yates said like the best time he made gains was after that post show period.
I agree.
In that 6 to 4 week, 6 week plus the health phase period, so that 10 weeks, let's just say, what kind of progress did you feel like you made? Did you
I've
get your
actually
strength
got
back?
my.
Were you
I've
beating
got
a lot?
I've got an Excel sheet here with my weight. Let me see.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the health phase, 60, I was at 223 was my weight.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was coming off the show. I weighed in at 197, but my
Yeah.
morning weight was probably like 192. So like
Right.
a good 30 pounds. And my
Yeah.
physique looks completely different. Like
Uh-huh.
I've gained another 10 pounds since then. I was 233 this morning,
Mm-hmm.
233.6. But I just look like a completely different bodybuilder than I was before.
Yeah. Yeah, you look
But,
like you filled out just kind of everywhere, you
and I'm
know.
still like, what is it? 19 pounds heavier than my previous off season, but I'm
Uh-huh.
quite a bit leaner too. So like
Yeah.
I can't wait to see how that translates to the stage.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I would never ever go back to right after a show on TRT dose, pulling down volume, minimal increase in calories. I think like based on my experience, you're just asking for a disaster at that point.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that's the wrong time to take the foot off the gas. Like push it for another 6 weeks with moderate doses, add in
Mm-hmm.
quite a bit of food, still train hard, and then kind of see where you're at health wise.
Right.
But
Now, when
you've
you
got
went
so
to
much.
the health phase,
Yeah.
what type of dosages were you running then? Did you just run your 50% into the health phase,
So I
pull
was
back on training?
training was the same.
Did
My
you switch
dose came down
compounds?
to yeah. I took out the Primobolan. I just ran tests for a while.
Uh-huh.
Not like I would say like a bulked up TRT dose. It was like 350 mgs a week.
I mean, that's probably makes sense for your body type and your size and everything like that.
Yeah, true TRT I would say would be like 250.
Yeah. But
So a
that's
little
like
bit
for your
extra.
average male.
Yeah.
Yeah, 250 to I mean, like real TRTs like starts at like 100, 125 to like
Yeah,
200
that's true. Yeah.
milligrams. But I think for a bodybuilder, like we're dealing with a different, you're not dealing with an average person at that point.
And
Um,
after those 6 weeks, then I pushed into my off season doses.
yeah. So then the off season doses get closer to like what a pre contest would look like minus orals probably.
Yeah, I would say similar. Again,
Hmm.
sticking with
And then
tested
did you
Primobolan.
titrate up like into your off season like, or did you just go like okay like we're on 350 now like 1,000 tests 700 primo?
I just jumped out of the gate.
You
Yeah.
did.
I felt good
Yeah.
though.
Yeah. Well, no, yeah,
I
I've
mean, it
I've
might
been
not be the
titrate I've
smartest
been
thing.
kind of titrating up. Uh I've titrated up the insulin a bit. I was started on
Now
5,
I
then I
did
went.
that as well, obviously.
Yeah, I mean that's one you have to like keep in mind. But I titrated up the insulin. I went from 5 to like 4 to 5 units. Meal 3, 1, 3, and 5 on my high days to 6, 6 and 5 or 4. And then today is my highest insulin dosages. I took 7, 7, and 7. With my meal 3 post workout, I took 7, and I took it, and I waited about 15 minutes to eat. I
I do
showered,
that. That's what I
I
do.
shaved, and I ate, and then I was like, I gotta leave the house right now, and I'm like, oh fuck. Like you kind of get that hype. I started to kind of get that hypo feeling a bit.
Yeah.
So I threw in 20 more grams of carbs because I had to go drive my car. So I'm like, I'm not trying to go hypo. I had enough carbs, I know, to cover it, but I'm not trying to cover insulin with I'm not trying to. I'm trying to push the insulin dosage for the growth factor effects, not to eat more fucking carbs,
Yeah.
but to save myself from going hypo, which I probably could have fought it, and got to the next meal, and maybe I would have stabilized, but
20 carbs is
because
minimal.
I had 160 post workout with 7 IU of insulin, but I'm also post workout, so I'm more. I
You're
hadn't eaten,
sensitive
and
already.
my post workout wasn't immediately after training; it was about an hour and a half after training.
Okay.
Yeah, so you know, I checked my glucose; I was at 100s, post training. So I was like, I could take 7,
Mm-hmm.
and anyways, yeah. Then I took another 7 before meal 5, and I didn't feel hypo. Um, now with the gear, I've been slowly ramping that up. 500, 520 or 540 test, and then I'm just rounding it up because it
Yeah.
was like 0.35 primo. I do daily pins, so it was like 0.35 test. I just rounded up to 0.4, so 40. So 80 times 7 is 560 test, and then the primo is at um, zero point 0.6. So
100
0.6.
milligram
So
doses.
60 times 7 is 420. So 420 primo 560 test.
Yeah.
And then the GH I was since I've noticed a little bit of high blood sugars, what I've decided to do, and it's since Sunday's a low day, I want to take advantage of the GH on a low day to kind of burn some fat. And I do go for a big walk in the morning on Sunday morning. I'd rather like take GH fasted that morning, go for like an hour or two walk, and get the
Yeah.
GH fat, lipolytic effects. So what I'm gonna do instead of doing 6 IU a day, I'm gonna take 5, but every day. So that's 35 IU per week versus 36 IU per week because I was just doing 6 days and taking off on Sunday. But I think it would be better just to take, you know, my GH one less unit a day, which could possibly have a little bit better effect on like the blood sugars because I don't really want to have to add like a long acting insulin or anything like that. I'd rather just like pull the carbs down a little bit. But no, I've been waking up mostly like sometimes like if I get a bad night of sleep, I'll wake up like low 90s. If I sleep good
That's
and I
so
get like a
good.
full, yeah, if I get a good 8 hours, I'll hit the 80s.
That's
Um, I
perfect.
I took my blood sugar at one point today. I waited a little bit. I think before my meal 5 or one of the meals, and I hit 70. I'm like, it's time to eat.
Where did you start feeling kind of hypo? Do you know your number?
I think about 70.
Okay. Yeah. I'm in the
No,
high
you know what?
50s.
That's right. That's right. No, what I did was this. I checked blood sugar. I pinned the insulin when I got home. Then I got in the shower. No, at
Hot
first
gal.
I checked it. I checked it. It was at 100. I think
Okay.
I pinned 7 IU of insulin. I got in the shower. I shaved, and I'm like, I think I'm kind of starting to feel because I started to get hungry. I'm like, oh, I'm fucking ready to eat, dude. You know how
Yeah.
it feels like when you start to go a little hypo. Like it's the first thing is like you're getting hungry and like you're kind of getting a little antsy because you're ready to eat. And I checked the blood sugar again, like, oh, it's at 70. It's perfect. Like, like go
Yeah.
eat, after I got out of the shower and shaved and everything. And then like it started to hit me. I was like, fuck, like it probably kept dropping, like as I
Oh
was
yeah.
getting these carbs in,
Yeah.
and they're just not hitting my bloodstream fast enough. So then I ate like a little cereal bar that's like 20 grams of carbs, no fat. It's like 1.5 grams of fat. And uh I was good. I was fine like 20 minutes later.
Yeah. If I start going hypo, whatever is my sugar source in that meal,
Mhm.
I'll eat that first because then
Okay.
it'll just hit me and start to bring my blood sugar up, quicker.
Yeah, I mean, like what I had was like I had a sugary cereal, and I had 2 English muffins.
Okay.
So I was eating a good bit of the cereal first. Then I was like, I want some of the English muffin just because I want to kind of break up the um the food a little bit, but
Yeah.
yeah, it started to get me a little bit. So I added 20 carbs, so it's really not too much.
No,
But
not at all.
I guess I kind of know that's my number now is like 7, and I'll hang out there, and then eventually I'll try to push to 8, and we'll see, and then we'll
Yeah.
see what I do with the training and everything like that to, um, how my recovery is going and how everything starts to look. But yeah, for me, I got like another 4. I would say I think it's like 4 more weeks on this rebound before I go into the real health phase, and then we'll get blood work at. Uh, did you get blood work at the end or the beginning of your health phase?
Beginning.
Yeah, so now you see what you have to improve during the health
Yeah.
phase. Okay, and then now that you're in your off season, you've been able to push and get your weight up. So you're 233 this morning at the end. So you put on another 10 pounds in how
Yeah.
many months post health phase?
4 months.
Okay.
But
So
we've
that's
been
2.5
steadily,
pounds a month, though. That's pretty good.
yeah, we've been steadily increasing food. Like this past week, he bumped my high days to 1,000 carbs,
Yeah.
and I dropped 2 pounds that week.
Yeah. Yeah. And if your oh shit, you dropped.
Yeah, and then
So
I,
your composition's improving too, though.
yeah, like
Uh
he's at the
huh.
point now where he's like, he didn't bump my food this week, even though my weight
Uh huh.
dropped, because he's
Yeah.
like, you might be at the point where it's like a runaway metabolism, where if we throw food at you, you're just going to lose weight no matter what.
Uh
So he's
huh.
like, let's just hang out here for a while, see what you do
Yeah.
this week, and then maybe bump you next week. But I
Yeah.
mean, it's got to be like, I can definitely tell I was tighter this week,
Mm-hmm.
even though food was higher. So I mean, that's like best case scenario. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. Well, we'll check in again next week and just see how things are going. I'm gonna run another week of this training and just see like because I'm still breaking the logbook. So, but I wrote this training plan and I'm like kind of pretty like hyped to get into it because it's a lot of the lifts I like. I mean, this one still is too. Um, it's just the amount of rest days is like I have a chest and a back day, which would be on a high day. So it's chest and
Yeah.
back in the same workout, which I do want to start making improvements on my chest. So that's also kind of a push for me to want to switch the training. Um, and I've put a few people through it already, of my clients, the guinea
Mhm.
pigs. So like and they're like, dude, this is a sick pump. Like
I like a
I
chest
know.
and back day.
Yeah, chest and back is awesome, man. And I started with the chest, but um I don't know, it might be better to we'll see. We'll see how I map this out, but I mean, I'll keep you guys updated and once I'm ready to release this program too, I will let you guys know where to find it and how to download it and everything like that. But yeah, man, anything else from you?
No, not to think of. Another good show, brother.
Yeah. Yeah, guys. So we'll be on again next week. Um and then these episodes go up, so we appreciate you tuning in after the fact to check them out. Oh shit, I'm live on the other screen right here. Um cool. Okay, one sec. Let me see. Oh look, I'm on YouTube right now and it says we're now live. That's pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Um so yeah, I appreciate you guys tuning in. We got 82 views on the first one, episode 1. Thank you guys for racking those views up. 56 on last week's. Got to pump those numbers up, guys. Hit subscribe, hit the bell notification. That way you know when we're going live. Now, we are going to try to go live consistently Saturday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that way you guys always know when to tune in. And if anything changes, we'll update you. But if anything does change, got that bell notification hit so you could always see, when new content's coming out. And you can also follow me on Instagram. You can follow Jimmy on Instagram at leone.jimmy, right?
Yep.
So last name first name. And
And what's your
and yeah.
Instagram?
Oh yeah, my Instagram's just at Matt Gerard. So I listed it below in the description. Um, and then also once again, magnesium by PE Science, MagGP, available at southernmuscle.shop. Use code Matt_SM at checkout to save a 10% off on that. This shit will help you get to sleep. Yeah.
And then, of course,
That's
this is
it.
for entertainment purposes only. We are not
Yeah.
doctors. We are not physicians, and we are not recommending any kind of medication or protocols for anyone to take.
Yeah, education and entertainment purposes, man. So that wraps up today's episode, guys. Catch you this week. Hopefully, we got you through a cardio session or just got your brain thinking. And if you guys do have any questions, be sure to comment below or message me or Jimmy on Instagram. And
Yeah, be awesome.
we will. I did get one question actually.
Okay,
we could answer this actually really quick. This is from Rob. He said, we got two questions. Grain carbs versus veggie carbs. So I'll just simplify this really quickly. Some veggies will have carbs, like if you're doing like peas or like carrots and like corn and stuff like that, you will get some carbs from them, but they're going to be more in that trace amount. Grain carbs, like grains, like I guess you could say like rice and like wheat, or maybe a better term would be like starches. So like, oats, rice, potatoes, cereals, breads, things like that. Those are going to be more like true carbohydrates. I would consider them to where like, that's going to, they're, not in like 5, 4, 3 gram amounts, they're going to be a higher percentage of actual carbohydrate in there versus fiber. You're going to have minimal fiber and, more absorbable carbohydrates. In a veggie, you're going to get very minimal absorbable and usable carbohydrates and more so fiber. I mean, and the veggies are going to have less impact on blood sugar.
Yeah, I wouldn't count like leafy green vegetables.
I don't even count them.
Corn, carrots, I would put in the starch category, and I would measure.
I did add in some Brussels sprouts, actually. What would you consider those?
I would consider them leafy green. I know they're a little bit higher, but I wouldn't count those, especially at your stage right now in the rebound.
Yeah,
I wouldn't worry about that at all. If you're in prep, I would count those probably.
I would probably watch like the certain ones. Like I would just double check the macros on things, double check the food labels. If it's all coming from like fiber, then you can maybe like count net carbs. I don't know. That's kind of splitting hairs, but the other one is injuries, which we did kind of cover in here, man. Like, like recovery, rest is going to be crucial. Yes, it's important to try to progress, but weight is not always the way to progress. Form and technique is, I would say, priority number 1. Priority number 2 would be more reps. Priority number 3 would be now adding weight. And these are going to be priority based on risk association with these. With improving technique, you're probably the least likely to get an injury.
Yeah, with increasing tempo, you're less likely to
get tempo, things like that. Now with like adding another rep, you've done a certain amount of weight with that reps with that weight so far. So, you're not doing a 1 rep max. So going for an extra rep, maybe consider having a training partner if you're able to, or use a machine. Maybe be careful with the free weight exercises where you're going to go for that extra rep. Maybe use a Smith machine, maybe use a machine press or, a hack squat or, something like that to where your risk for injury is lessened. That would be my advice on that. And then like adding weight, be sure that those first 2 things are checked off before it's time to really consider adding more weight.
I would say progression, highest risk to lowest risk would be weight, reps, tempo, technique. So
highest risk to lowest, yeah.
Yeah, weight would be your highest risk, then reps, then tempo, then technique, I would say.
Yeah, that's perfect, dude. So, yeah, those were 2 of the questions. So, keep them coming, guys. Keep them fucking coming. And appreciate you guys tuning in. That'll do it.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
All right, dog.
Thank you, brother. I'll see you next week.
Cool. Sounds good.